Triggers. 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 Triggers.
Hello, Gearheads. Welcome to Sundays with the Blind Mike Project. Make sure you go to blindmike.net for all Blind Mike links. Today, Blind Mike might talk about Shane Gillis as Tarantino Muse. Joe Matarese quits comedy and then quits quitting comedy. Tom Myers enters the Dabbleverse. Chris D'Elia does something weird, and possibly some Stuttering John. That is quite the smorgasbord of locales and draters, Blind Mike. We are very impressed. But remember, content subject to change by Blind Mike decision. And now, the man who has a sixth sense for comedy and will never ever punch down, no matter how many times the demon asks him to, Blind Mike Geary! Yeah.
Am I in a bad mood, or was that intro annoying for some reason?
You might be in a bad mood.
I like the idea that I won't punch down. Say that in the 45th minute of a G.D. Fenderson breakdown of a video that's got 8 views on it. I'm above punching down. Just taking a mentally challenged man and mocking him for doing a character.
That last one was very strange.
That made me think, like, oh, should we even be making fun of this guy? He
We
might
should
be a little
probably-
off, you know?
It's probably stop.
He might be a little off. I don't know. He's allowed out of the house, and he does comedy, you know?
That's true. That's true.
So hey, you put it. If you allow someone an internet account, I think they're allowed to be mocked, I suppose. But yes, I'm too good for punching down, I suppose. I spent an hour and a half on a 9-minute Coach HP video.
I think that's the only thing we're missing today is Coach HP.
Oh yeah, we got a litany of topics to get into. First, I want to do some evidently very important housekeeping as far as the Blind Mike Project goes. Something that's been very, I would say, extremely controversial to one person, and the rest of the listenership has not noticed anything, including me, quite frankly. But but we have to address it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, which is most of you, Stuttering John's old moderator, Andrea Brower, was moderating our chat for a few weeks. I don't really know why, and when I would say I didn't know why, Hackride would say, "How many times do I have to explain this to you?" And I would think, until I understand it. But, you know, he basically, Hackride's logic was, I guess for the algorithm, it's important to have a moderator. He keeps saying to me, she posts links.
She does. I see it.
What does that mean?
No
We
matter
have one
what
link.
So, like, if we're talking about David Collins, she'll put his stuff up. Or if we're talking about,
Oh, okay. All right.
thought- I thought-
All right. I like that. That's not bad.
yeah. So, like, and then when we would talk about, I don't know, like if we talked about a hat or something, she'd post a link to the merch store. And
Oh, okay. Well, I can't if she wants to. She certainly doesn't have to. But I feel like DJ Electro would be good at that.
now, funny you say that. She does.
Oh, well then what? Why not her? She's already part of the family.
I don't know.
Yeah, if DJ Electra wants to, she's the new moderator. If she doesn't, no pressure, Electra.
Oh, there it is. She just posted.
Okay, just keep doing what you've been doing then, I guess. Yeah, to me, I didn't understand why we needed someone else to do it, but Hackride, I think maybe he was just being nice to Andrea. I don't know, but he kept saying like Andrea is very good at this and it helps the algorithm or something. I will say the one time we haven't been live in the last few weeks when I was in Austin, Texas, And so I popped into the chat for a minute, and I noticed everyone just saying hi to each other.
Yes.
Like someone would come in and Andrew would say, hi, Craig's Dungeon or something like that.
I don't think that's a name.
And well, it should be. It is now. So I was like, oh, what is this? And I guess a couple people in the chat like troll Andrea, so they would message me and be like, oh, Andrea's deleting posts or whatever. That the only time I ever cared about any of this was when I saw posts were being deleted, which they weren't. She wasn't doing that. It was just people fucking with her, I guess.
Yeah.
So again, I go back to not caring. I haven't cared about this. I said, go for it. If it enters my world, if it's something that bothers me in any way, then the experiment's over, But until then, I have no issue with it. So then throughout this last week, like a couple people reached out and said that was happening. So I would reach out to Hackride and say anything to this. He'd say no. I'd go about my day. I think Hackride thought in those moments that I was mad or something because he took this very seriously.
He often thinks everyone's mad that's talking to him.
I know. I try to tell him to relax a little bit.
It makes smokes a lot of weed. You'd think he'd be more chill.
I don't know. It makes me appreciate my relationship at home that I'm in. Yeah. Because I don't have to deal with an insane person, a hormonal maniac. Yeah. So Hackride fills that void for me. It's kind of nice to know what it would be like, Yeah. So I have no problem with it. Then Hackride messaged me a couple of times this week about Box Eating Dad, our good friend.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple day one patrons. Like we gain and lose subscribers on Patreon every day. It happens. People leave, new people come in. By the way, subscribe on Patreon if you wouldn't mind. Get us to 1,000 for God's sake. Box Eating Dad is one of those guys. That's a day one subscriber, one of our top soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Hackride said something to me, kind of, just casually, like that Box Eating Dad was unsubscribing, and he's like, but those are the breaks of having Andrea moderate. And he kind of threw it in a way where I was like, what's going on now? So again, I'm not like really reacting, but I just said, well, if whatever this is causing us to lose day one subscribers, then I'm going to reevaluate it. But let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Box Eating Dad for $2. I want nothing to do with this.
Well, we're getting there. So then Hackride sends me another tweet. By the way, this is a guy that doesn't want me to overreact to this stuff, continuously sending me links. So he sends me a link to some Box Eating Dad tweet where he's like, I'm unsubscribing from the Blind Mike Project.
Yeah.
So I just shoot him a message and say, hey, everything all good. If not, maybe I can clear it up. If I can't clear it up, then it'd be a shame to lose you, but I appreciate all the support. And he replies, I was just fucking with you and was going to build. I think he was like planning some April Fool's thing where he was going to reveal on April 1st that he was really subscribed. I don't know what he was doing. But, Box Eating Dad and I had a conversation that actually warmed my heart. I was like, wow, this is a loyal guy,
Yeah.
But turns out nothing was wrong. Hackride was just like reacting to nothing, I guess. I don't know. So then, middle of the week, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I wake up in the middle of the night. I just happened to be, it wasn't like bad sleep. When you just wake up early for some reason?
Yeah.
I woke up at like 3 a.m. and, I can't fall back asleep. And so I check my phone. I go into the YouTube Studio app, and I notice a comment on a post that I don't remember ever posting. And the post reads something to the effect of, attention gearheads, you've spoken and we've listened.
That sounds like you.
So I think, what the fuck is this? And then I see this thing about Andrea Brower. Like, we've removed her from, I'm like, what is going on? So I immediately delete the post. I did see one comment that unfortunately catches collateral damage. The comment should be like pinned to our chat every day. It's the most sage piece of wisdom I've ever read. It sums this situation up perfectly. So I'll get to that in a minute. But I just delete the post because I'm like, what is this? So I just message Hackride, because Hackride will have our, back and forths where he tries to convince me of something and I'm resistant to it, and then maybe eventually I do it, whatever. But this was a case where I was like, I'm sure I said this to you when we started. I said it to Hackride. Don't post anything without my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That seems fair, right?
Yeah. I know.
Like if a guy's got one rule,
yeah.
Don't make my YouTube channel about Andrea Brower without my consent. That seems somewhat reasonable.
You didn't like all the VGS posts on your YouTube feed?
Yeah, no. I like when Craig started on Patreon. Hey, it's Matt Sanford Day, everybody. I said, hey, let's knock that off. So I message him and I say, hey, this isn't one like this one's not up for debate. Don't post without without telling me. Don't ever publish anything without letting me know. Now, Hackride has done something extremely helpful to me, where he goes in. I used to have to download everything myself and then upload it to YouTube, then upload the thumbnails separately. Hackride does all that now. So I can just go in, title shit, bing, bang, boom, we're done. So Hackride's made my life a lot easier in that way.
He's great.
So in this, I have to make sure to remind him of that.
Yes.
because of messages like this, where I go, hey, don't ever publish anything without me knowing. His reply, and this is where I say the girlfriend thing.
I already know what's coming.
Fine, I guess I'll just never post anything again. You won't have to worry about me. Come on now, buddy. You know I love you. You're really pretty, and
give me one more chance.
I'm like, now, let's not do anything rash. So luckily, Hackride and I have enough of a back and forth that I kind of knew. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to bed, and by the time I wake up, he'll be fine.
We'll have 6 clips in the drive.
It was just funny to be like, well, then I guess I'll just kill myself. Like, no, we love you. But so the comment, this is what I'm trying to instill in Hackride. And I think every day he understands my point of view more and more.
Yeah. The
comment that I said that I read that was very wise was simply, the only comment on this post was someone, sir, I forget your name, but you deserve a round of applause. He said, I watch 70% of Mike's shows, and I have no idea what you're talking about. Which I think perfectly sums up why I didn't ever give a shit about this. The people don't care. And now you've forced me to talk about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully all is well, and DJ Electra's our new moderator. Is that right?
Seems to be. She posted.
Will she confirm that?
Yes, she did earlier, as soon as you said it.
It'd be great if I said something and she's like, well, then I guess I'll just never be in the chat again. I'm like, damn, what did I say?
No, she's level-headed. She's the level-headed one.
Oh, DJ Electra's great. I make fun of her. She overreacted once. She did overreact once. Remember that?
Yeah, I think that was her Hackride was deep in her ear at that point.
That's when I was complimenting Hackride.
Yes.
And she was like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully everything's all right and back to normal now. You know?
Hackride says, lesson learned, trying things is dumb.
See? No, I'm literally saying I let you try things. Now, is that a bit? Is he doing it to fuck with me or what?
I can't tell. I can never tell.
That's the thing. I never know. It must be, because we always come back around. He always ends up, understanding in the end. So
I do speaking of Hackride, I want to give a shout out to David Collins from last week.
He was great.
Doing almost 3 hours with us, and then almost 3 hours with an annoying toilet.
Yes.
Later that day.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing, is like, Hackride wants me to talk about one of his rivals. Win by 2, I think is the guy's name.
Oh my God, he showed me that too.
Yeah, he keeps the only reason I saw it is because Hackride keeps sending me clips, and I was like, Hackride, the guy is doing what we do to other people. Like, he just says, there was nothing offensive to me. He just doesn't like the show. It's about time someone realized we fucking suck. This kid's just like, yeah, his voice sucks. What am I going to play that clip and be like, nuh-uh? I've got a really normal voice that no one ever comments on.
Yeah. He keeps sending me the stuff. I'm like, yeah, I mean, when he says something, we'll talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. If he says he's welcome. If the guy has a problem with me, he's welcome on the show. I have no issue with it. Win by 2, you're welcome on if you want to discuss something. But I don't think he has like a real issue with us. He just thinks it's funny to make fun of us, as anyone should. Go check out Win by 2.
Yeah.
If he said something over the line, we can fucking go at him. But basically, he's just like, yeah, these guys are retarded.
The only offensive thing
point taken.
The only offensive thing he's done is just blatantly rip off Red Bar.
Isn't that what we're doing though?
Down to the minute details of the studio.
I see. I don't pick up on that stuff, obviously.
Yeah, no, it was the same. But I enjoyed his Metallica shirt. Shout out.
But yeah, I mean, like it would be crazy to be like, "Hey, gang, I want to take a break for a second from calling Tom Myers a loser," to say it was offensive what Win by 2 Radio is doing to us. Yeah. He certainly should. Craig's never paying attention to the show. I got a demon putting old ladies in our chat. No, this should be made fun of. I've got a 1930s carnival barker voice. We deserve to be mocked once in a while.
It's natural, people. You'll see Blind Mike in the wild. That's his real voice.
Unfortunately, yeah. Imagine living with us. How much worse it would be.
That's nice. So, everything sounds like the bottom of the 9th in your house.
Yeah, Jack Buck. Yeah. So Win by 2. If you have an issue with it, you're welcome to come on the show and discuss it or make fun of us or whatever. But I think it's just a guy that likes, shitting on things the same way we do. I think that's what he was referring to by the punching down thing.
Hackrad's moody today.
Why? What's wrong?
He said, yeah, how dare we go at people who directly talk shit about us? That would be crazy.
Yeah, but it's not real. That's what I'm saying. It's not real talking shit. It's like, oh, the show sucks. What am I going to say? No, we don't.
No, we're really good, dude.
No, I'm great at broadcasting.
Open your eyes.
Stop it. Like, he didn't say anything that bothered me, at least in the clips I saw. Maybe I'm missing something, but
I think he's live today, actually, so we'll find out later.
Oh, good. Yeah, go check him out.
Yeah.
But yeah, David Collins was great on the show. And like Craig said, 6 hours of Blind Mike talk has to be exhausting.
Yeah, but I will say the best thing ever is they did on Gearbox. You can see at 9 p.m. tonight on Hackrad's channel.
Please, for the love of God, watch Gearbox. It's the greatest program. It's much better than this. Go watch it. Jake
Husden will be on the show. From judging by the chat,
because we don't punch down,
right?
That's just a totally regular guy.
They did the Blind Mike rewind, or what I forget exactly what it's called. I believe that's it. And David Collins was so into our Brendan Schaub as Batman idea. I think we have to make it happen again.
Is that right? Or was he actually? You can never tell with him.
Oh, he had the best. His best tag was he was talking about Schaub as Batman, and he goes, "What if he flips the Batmobile?"
Yeah, David's gotten funnier every time he's been on. I think you start to see more and more of his personality. So go check out David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show. And the I watched. Well, we got a clip of it actually, but I watched the reality show. It was very good. It was very well done.
Yeah, very well.
Go check that out. Our boy David Collins. We actually have a couple clips. One of is from him with our buddy Austin Ingalls. And if you watched Austin Ingalls on Why You Laughing, and thought, well, it's certainly impossible that his audio quality gets worse, you'd be proven wrong. But they were talking about us a little bit, so we have that clip, I think.
Anyway, guys, give a shout out to Blind Mike. I got a couple questions here for you, David. Something simple. I
do think he's blind now.
Fully blind?
My opinion has changed. I believe him.
You didn't believe him at first, Mike. That's fantastic. I believed him.
A lot of suspicion.
Okay. I just thought that he had a little bit of vision left, but he's fully blind, you believe?
I believe he uses a walking cane and he needs it.
Okay. Wow. Well,
I'd like to see it, but I hear him talk about it. And
we would love to see you in person, Mike.
What's terrible is that I'm pretty sure he still spells doubt on that I'm talking to Jerry every day. Yeah. And I believe that he's blind, so I don't know why he still casts doubt on some things in my life.
Right.
But
I just saw Jerry, actually. He just left here.
We're working things out.
I don't know what that was in the background, Austin. You got to fix that, buddy.
I think it was feedback from his whatever fucking microphone that was.
Yeah. But yeah, very funny. David, you don't believe that I'm blind. That's the issue. Now I'm starting to come around on Jerry. If we can, come to an agreement on this.
Right.
I just haven't seen Jerry. But I guess that's true of everyone.
From everything he says, he sounds like a stand-up guy. Like,
sure, I think Jerry's all right, but they have their issues. But yeah, no, I'm glad David is finally coming around to the idea that I'm blind. But I gotta say, it doesn't take much to convince David. If I'm trying to lie about being blind, wouldn't I talk about using a cane? Isn't that a classic blind guy move?
True.
So I'm just saying, David, keep investigating. Don't let that. Don't let your passion for investigation die just because just because I said something. Come on.
Right. But we also do have a clip of his.
Yeah. So this is I believe, a shout out to us. It also reminded me what timing that this came out this week, because it reminded me I have now not once but twice been duped by obituaries.
Oh God.
It's very easy. If you just send me, I gotta say that the evidence is there. But if you just send me an obituary of someone with a name I know, roughly the same age, in the same state, I'm just running with it.
I gotta be honest.
This guy's dead.
The two that you are referencing,
I know,
were so insanely close.
I agree. It's very close. It's a bizarre coincidence, but I have done it twice, which is not a great look for me. So yeah, if you don't remember, I reported that David Collins was also dead, in addition to Mike Violette, because a guy in Manhattan, Kansas, crashed his truck or something. So on David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show, we're getting a peek behind some of David's stand-up here, and also there's a shout-out to us.
This first thing, and we were just joking about this, actually, Todd happens to like this joke. Well, this is a bit where I take my notebook up on stage, and I look at it, and I say, and then I look at the audience. Of course, I say nothing as I'm looking at the notebook,
right.
But I turn to the audience, and I say, oh, didn't see you there. And then I gather my things. And then I gather my things and I look at the audience again and I say, of course I saw you there. I'm on stage. And that's a fun joke.
That
I
is
think we're going to write
fun.
that out.
Yeah, you should.
I'm on stage.
You should definitely have that. It's kind of.
Could we think of anything? Hello, my name's David Collins. I know what you're thinking. Blank. I know what you're thinking. I didn't roll over at age 33 in a truck in a ravine near Manhattan, Kansas. That'd be a very inside joke.
I'm glad you're alive. You scared all of us with that one.
What
David.
a terrifying incident.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, somehow me and someone on Patreon found that obituary, and rumors were swirling from there. But we're all glad David's okay, because he puts out great content like that. So
he wants to do a stand-up show in the greater Boston area.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, so I want him to reach out to me and tell me what he needs, and I'll make it happen.
Yeah, we should try and figure that out. That'd be great.
I told him I'd open for him.
Wow, would that be something?
Wouldn't it? I think it would.
Boy, would I love that.
Yeah, I bet you would. It will be better than you think.
I'm sure. Oh, believe me, I'm sure it would.
I can only imagine how bad you think it would be.
No, I think it'd be fantastic.
So if he reaches out, I'll figure it out. I just need to know what he needs, and I'll make it happen.
Yeah, that could be fun. And if he wants it to just be a straight David Collins stand-up show, we could figure that out. But we could also maybe try and figure out something else if he wants to do that. So
that's right.
Let us know, David.
Let us know.
All right. So, you know what? I've been in kind of a, dare I say, salty mood. I think I need something to lift me up. What do you say, Craig?
I can only imagine just knowing what we have cut, where you're talking about going.
So I was listening to the Taste Buds podcast the other day, and Adam Ray was on there and mentioned something just offhandedly about a Cornuts commercial.
Oh, yes.
And so I said, that doesn't sound real. But sure enough, I did some Googling, some searching. Evidently, it doesn't sound, it sounds like a parody of something. But evidently, this is a real commercial that played on the West Coast for Corn Nuts in the 90s. And I think I want it to be I don't know if Hackrad's taking requests from me at this point. But I think it could be fun if we have this. We have a 1 minute countdown. This is basically exactly a minute. This song we're about to play. I think if that's our countdown music, and I'm giving Hackride carte blanche to put in whatever he sees fit, like Craig with all of his friends, like maybe the season 1 cast of Stranger Things or something like that. Like Craig and his pals just kind of dancing in the background. You can make it a sitcom theme song or something like that. I think that could be a good countdown music to get the people juiced up for the show. But this has been stuck in my head, and I'm hoping to get it stuck in yours. This is a real commercial from the 90s for corn nuts.
This is a song about corn nuts, an intensely crunchy snack. It's not about anything else.
Go to your room and lock the door, cause when you try it once, you want to try it some more. Size doesn't matter, and that's a fact. It might be small, but it's a big impact. Bust a nut, bust a nut. Grab a bag of corn nuts and bust
a nut.
Lightly toasted and hard as hell. Enjoy yourself, we won't tell. Everybody does it, they like it a lot. You can do it in school, just don't get caught. It takes a few minutes if you don't delay. Take your time and your last all day. Bust a nut, bust a nut. Grab a bag of corn nuts and bust a nut. You're lightly toasted and hard as hell. Enjoy yourself, we won't tell.
Corn nuts, an intensely crunchy corn snack, comes in 7 nut-busting flavors.
All right, I'm all better now. That got me in a good mood.
I forgot that was snuck up on the clips. I was like, what is he going to go to lift his spirits?
That shows you the 90s really were the best time. Like that we peaked as a society in the 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
It's when there was, I imagine maybe gay people wouldn't say that, the LGBT community perhaps, but I'd say everyone else. Other than that, that's when we peaked as the 90s,
Right.
Those are the good days.
As a person, yeah. Carl's Frosted Tips, $2. Hey, Mike.
Yes. ...
dash dash ...
It depends where they're located.
I don't know what slur I just said in Morse code.
I assume he's going Braille.
Yeah,
there are no dashes in Braille, though. I guess it is Morse code.
Yeah. Ben R, $5. Is Hackride pregnant? Will Craig become predatory after the birth? That's fucking not nice.
But those are the kind of questions. We can have that as a promo, and then we play the Bust a Nuts song. That's the intro to our sitcom.
Yeah.
What's going to happen this week?
Dang Lizard, €5. So Craigers posts all these requests for young and not legal to the channel with your knowledge, Mike.
Wait a second.
That's not right. None of that's right.
Yeah. There is a setting, like, on YouTube, you have to check, is this made for kids? And I noticed Craig is always checking yes, which I'm like, that's going to get us demonetized.
That's not true at all.
He's like, I want the kids to see what we're doing.
Dang Lizard, again, €5. Mike put the most effort into a joke in the history of comedy, and I was pretending to be blind so people can just say, blind Mike can't read a room.
Yes. When Kevin Brennan said that, I was like, paying off. Finally.
Yeah. And lastly, for now, Port Film Co-op, Australian $2, whatever the A before that is. What is this about Joe Matarese quitting?
Well, then I guess we got to start with that, right?
I left that one for last because I thought it was a perfect segue.
Might as well. Now, maybe Hackride knows something we don't. If he hasn't stormed out and left. I noticed the intro said like Joe Matarese quits and then unquits or something like that. But I didn't see any of his videos back, and I looked at his Twitter, nothing yet. Has Joe Matarese put out any sort of statement on this? I'm wondering. If anyone has any answers in the chat, please let me know. But I was talking to Carl the other night, and I said, here's what happened in me and Carl's relationship. I saw Carl building sandcastles, and I said, hey, can we play together? And he said, sure, come on over here. And I said, all right, I'd like to build a sandcastle over here by myself as well. And Carl started saying, "That's a pretty cool sandcastle you got," and then stood up and knocked it over. Because that son of a bitch, Joe Matarese, would have never acknowledged us. We were over here in our corner, and that son of a bitch had to start shining a light on this cocksucker.
If you go back to last week, we're like, yeah, I'm glad he's doing Joe Matarese too.
I didn't realize the repercussions that would happen.
He went too hard.
No, but as I said to Carl, this is Joe clearly not learning from his mistakes. The only success Joe has had in the last 10 years. So I'm discounting, like, he got on America's Got Talent and he was on Artie Lang's show. I'm not saying these are massive triumphs, but he did things. But in the last 10 years, the only success Joe Matarese had, and it might sound ironic, but I actually mean it because it was attention on him, were Red Bar and the porcelain documentaries.
And that one Fixing Joe.
Well, it all stems from that, though, I think.
Yeah.
You know? And now I would say, like, I don't know what Red Bar's listeners are like, but I assume Carl is probably a bigger audience than Red Bar, I would think. Or at least similar. So, like, Joe sees that, like, hey, I've got attention, and he yet again runs and hides. Joe has deleted all the Joe Matarese podcasts from his channel. So now if you want to go back and see the 50 format flips, you won't be able to. It's not possible. He's gotten rid of all of them. He has not tweeted about it either, which is kind of an odd move.
Hold please.
Oh, please.
Carl actually just sent me a picture, and it's a post from Joe.
Oh.
And it says, I changed my mind. Hi,
Oh, this must be what Hackrad was referring to.
Yeah, it says, hi, everyone. After talking to Kevin Brennan on his MLC podcast today, I decided to come back on the air and just do my podcast once a week. Still live, but just once a week. It may be live during the daytime when my kids are in school. Stay tuned, and we will be live weekly. Joe.
Where and when is this from?
It says 17 hours ago.
Oh, really? Because I didn't see it on his Twitter for some reason.
And then 3 days.
Maybe I just missed it.
He said before that, he sent out this on his Patreon and says, I'm closing up shop. Have you gone over that before?
No.
Okay. So what I just read is the newest one.
Did he delete that, though? Because I didn't see it on his Twitter. It was just his dumb fucking clips.
These were both on Patreon.
Oh, okay. That's why. Okay. Gotcha. Good. Thank you, Carl.
So initially it said, hi, everyone. I truly appreciate you all for subscribing here and supporting my podcast. I decided after doing 28 episodes of the Joe Matarese show, it was just not my thing. Yes, it made me a little.
Wasn't your thing. You started it, asshole.
Like, this is so early on. Hold on.
Hey, guys, you know what? I realized the Blind Mike project, it's not really for me. I'm going to hand the reins over to Craig.
28 episodes? I didn't realize he even did that many.
Well, he didn't. He did a lot of, hey, in 2013, I talked to Bill Burr.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So he did more like 20 or something, you know?
Yeah. Yes, it made me a little money, but I'm not really interested in the creative.
No, it didn't.
The creative. It probably made like $2 a show. From like
okay, a little money. All right, he's not lying.
Yeah. In the Patreon, maybe. I don't know. It didn't take the creative turn it took once I started doing it live. Even when I pre-recorded apps, it just had no direction and I didn't seem very good at it. All right. My personality isn't nearly big enough to survive in the 2024 podcast world. When I'm feeling boring while I'm talking, that's never a good sign. My heart is telling me to just concentrate on stand-up and keep writing and creating stand-up and stand-up content. Yes, I know people have told me that, but sometimes I just have to take a swing and figure it out on my own. Stopping my podcast really will open up a lot more of my time to write comedy and, most importantly, spend more quality time with my family.
Running for Senate, Joe.
I'm not sure what to do with my Patreon. I could add stand-up content here. I'm up for your suggestions since you all are donating to it. I may
stop it, Joe. Decide something.
I may just close this up as well. Please write me back to voice your opinions, but please don't try to convince me to podcast because that ship has sailed. I also deleted all the episodes from everywhere it existed.
I like that he's kind of begging us to beg him to stay. He's like, don't you dare ask me to podcast anymore, right, everyone? Right?
It's gone from existence. Talk to you all soon, and I hope to meet you in person one day at a show.
Oh, what a great hope.
I'm going to read the first thing Carl sent me again.
Okay.
After all that, I changed my mind.
I forgot he was back. That's how long that was.
It was 2.5 days between posts.
Oh my God.
Hi, everyone. After talking to Kevin Brennan on MLC podcast today, I decided to come back on the air and just do my podcast once a week. Still live, duh, but just once a week.
How could anyone make fun of this show?
I know.
Still live.
It was a comma. It made me think it was a period.
I understand.
I don't know. It may be live during the daytime when my kids are in school. Stay tuned for when it will be live weekly.
Good. I'm glad Joe's back. Joe, you know how many people probably unsubscribed? Well, I shouldn't say how many people, but like the percentage of people that are just like, oh, okay. Well, before I get charged another $5 or whatever it is, I'll just unsubscribe. I will give Joe this credit. It is, and we've kind of always said this, but it's where he is different than John and Opie and Tom Myers. Is he has a hint of self-awareness might be the wrong word, because it's just him responding to criticism. So it's not him being self-aware. It's him being other people aware. I don't know what the phrase would be, but he's seeing criticism and reacting to that. But it is like John would never put out a statement like that. Like, hey, the show's not doing great. I don't think I'm a great podcaster. When in reality, Joe and John's skills at podcasting are not drastically different, you know?
Right.
Like they're more or less the same guy on the spectrum of podcasters. I would say John is not massively more talented than Joe Matarese.
I don't think
Joe is able to say like, "Hey, I kind of suck at this," you know.
Joe, yeah, I think he's better at it. I think he's better.
Well, John's more entertaining. Not for his own, not for
true
any skills of his.
Yeah.
But he's definitely more entertaining to watch. Like, I think just an average Joe Matarese episode is more boring. Joe talking by himself is more boring than John talking by himself, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying now.
But this is also sent from Carl. You know, I joke about Carl. He did send me all the information we have about this, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, Carl sent me the one podcast that couldn't officially get deleted because Carl and his sleuths had the time to go find it. Ray DeVito was on. And some people say this was the beginning of the end, but I guess he did a podcast after this with someone named Carrie. I didn't catch that one. And then Carl also mentioned him doing something with his son, which that's a great idea. When you get trolled constantly, when your audience is exclusively people that make fun of you, bring your minor children on. That's a great idea, Joe. Very smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have some clips of him and Ray DeVito where he acknowledges guys like Carl and us and Louis J. Gomez and all the people that have talked about him. Weirdly, I don't think his biggest problem is with Carl, which we'll see as we go along here. Or us, for that matter. But we'll get to that.
I saw like WATP likes to give you grief. They critiqued my Jim and Sam appearance, fucking Carl. But like Carl's a great dude, and like they'll come out to your shows. And they're not bad people. They're good people. You need to
see Ray gets it.
Yes.
Like for all his faults, Ray DeVito 100% gets it and is trying to say, and Ray's actually the perfect angel on Joe's shoulder here, where he's like, listen, Joe, we're not great stand-up comedians. You know, we're not going to have the careers that Nate Bargatze has or John Mulaney. We just aren't those people. If you want people to come to your shows, you should kind of appreciate someone like Carl who's goofing on you and maybe sometimes like not viciously, but like, you know, mean-spiritedly making fun of you. But if Joe goes on, Carl would have a good time. They would end up being friends. Joe would go to Rochester, play the Carlson, and be in Carl's basement, you know?
Joe can come on here too if he wants.
Yeah, I guess.
But one thing I want to say is just watch Ray's demeanor this whole time and Joe's and just compare them.
Yeah, Joe has no interest. To be fair, the context of this is
I
guess Ray gave out Joe's phone number. by accident.
That's very funny.
So that is why they're meeting. So I think Joe does have some reason to be a little sour. But
Yeah.
ATP and
I
give
will.
Carl a piece of your mind.
Well,
Go have fun with Carl.
it seems like there's a couple of different podcasts now that critique other podcasts. They're the bigger one. I think there's a real small one.
Hey. I don't know about real small.
Don't worry, Mike. He's going to pretend not to have ever heard of this show in a few minutes.
No, I know. But real small seems like a stretch, right?
Come on, Joe.
Medium to low medium?
I'd say medium. We're in the top 1% of podcasts as a whole.
Come on.
That's for sure.
Small. Yeah. So evidently, I thought other people started talking about Joe, but I'm assuming he means Carl and then us, right? It would have to be.
I assume so, yeah.
That's when I know they're a small one, when they only critique my podcast. Like they're not doing all the podcasts.
Making good points right now.
Why are you doing mine?
I don't think so, actually.
I don't have a lot of listeners. So like there's no way for you to be successful being a just Joe Matarese critiquer. You know, like that.
Well, here's the
that
thing.
Maybe he's not talking about this show.
Nailed us.
Or maybe he saw like Hack Ride's clips when they post the segment possibly.
I don't think there's a single program on the planet that has devoted themselves to only talking about Joe Matarese.
That's true.
You know, I think it's the same type of shit he said about Red Bar at the start of all that, where he's like, he's devoted his whole. This is where he is similar to John and Opie, where he's like, they've devoted their whole life to talking about me. They must be real losers. Like, no, Joe, if you went away tomorrow, I wouldn't notice, really. And you did go away, and I didn't notice. I didn't know all the shit until 10 minutes ago that you quit like a baby, and then you were like, actually, guys, just joking. I'm back. Because you saw 3 people talk about it online. Stop letting everyone dictate your life, Joe, you loser.
What did I say to you right as we started today?
What's that?
When we were talking about this, you're like, I'm like, oh yeah, did he take that episode down because we had it in the drive? And you're like, he took them all down. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't have noticed. Like I may not have even talked about Joe because I saw that he had Ray DeVito on.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember earlier in the week, I was like, oh, we'll have to get to that at some point. But if it wasn't for Carl mentioning it to me, I may have not even really noticed Joe was off the internet. Like that's where Joe does have the same delusion as a lot of the other people we cover, because he thinks it's all about him in a weird way. And it's not, Joe. Like, we like, excuse me, we like talking comedy and talking about people that embarrass themselves on the internet. You know, we'll find other people to fill that void if, God forbid, you leave us. But that's where Joe's a little arrogant, as he thinks like he's better than that. And it's like, Joe, look at the guest you're having on. You have Ray DeVito on, essentially because Carl told you through osmosis. You know,
Right.
like the only reason that Ray DeVito's on that podcast is because WATP started covering Joe. And the only reason Joe's on Kevin Brennan's show is because he's a lolcow. Like he's someone that Kevin thought, oh, maybe I can poke fun at this idiot. So don't be above this world joke. You are in it. You know, stop thinking that you're above that. That's your biggest problem more than anything. I would say second is that you're not particularly talented, and you think putting hashtag Italian in your posts is going to make your career explode. Like you're kind of a delusional guy, but you're in this world, so accept it.
being a just Joe Matarese critiquer, you know, like that.
Well, here's the thing. I think part of it is if they do that, they don't actually hate you. I think it's just like they know you're someone to have fun.
I'm starting to.
A lot of people will say stuff about me, but it's like, I mean, some people are just jerks and
Hack Red.
They're like just assholes. But then there's other people that like actually like do it out of love. Like they'll say like the meanest things.
This is where Ray is rationalizing his own existence. But like Ray has the right attitude where he's like, and you know, I think Ray got a bunch of views on his stand-up special on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like he is right. It's like embrace that shit. And then the people that do find you funny and want to go see your shows, they'll do that. Maybe some of them will be laughing behind your back, but it's like the same thing I say about Brendan Schaub is like, we went and had a good time at the Brendan Schaub show. Now, why the fact that we might leave and make jokes about it affects Brendan Schaub's attitude is beyond me. But that stuff seems to really bother him. He wants to be respected. And that's where Joe gets mixed up. It's like I said earlier about the show that Hackride wants us to talk about, where it's like, if I was like, how dare you poke fun at this program, then I'm as bad as all of these people. I don't realize that there's obviously stuff to make fun of, you know? So that's what I really have started to hate about Joe, is I kind of thought he was a guy that maybe had a little awareness and was starting to embrace the mocking, but he doesn't think there's anything that he should be mocked for, which is bizarre to me.
That's a fact. And next we have him talking about Luis J. Gomez.
This is the weird one. More obviously he thinks we're a small podcast that only cover him, so he doesn't even think about us. But he says, you know, WATP doesn't really bother him. Oddly, the guy that bothers him most is Luis J. Gomez. Remember the clip we played a couple months ago?
Yep.
I thought Luis was pretty like he was fucking around the way comics do. But he kept saying, like, I don't want to shit on Joe Matarese. He's a nice guy. He even said he's a good comic.
Yeah, he was saying, I don't want to shit on him. He's a nice guy. And then going to Chris Scopo, like, you're going to murder your career.
Yeah, why are you on that podcast?
Yeah, so I mean, like,
but he was funny about it, you know?
He was, but if you were Joe, I could see why you were like, God damn.
But that, again, I would have him on if it bothered me that much about it.
True.
You know? Like, why not invite Luis on or go, well, we'll hear what Joe says.
What do you think? I promise you, Luis J. Gomez does not hate you. I promise you. I heard that when you were on MLC.
He's correct.
You said you think Luis J. Gomez does not like you. I do not believe.
I'm
that's
only
true.
saying that because that was his exact words. It's not like I'm not going, oh, I think
it's not true though.
Was
This
it
is where Joe's being a little bitch. Luis didn't go on and say, I don't like Joe Matarese. Quite the opposite. He's like, I don't want to shit on this guy. I like him. He's a good comic. He sucks at podcasting and he's become a joke. But that doesn't mean I hate you. This is way more than John. This is Opie. This is where Opie is always, if you say one cross word about the guy, it's like, oh, that guy hates me. And that's just not true. That's not the nature of the internet. You know, you can't take everything at face value. And believe me, I've struggled with that over the years, where I would take every tweet and be like, I need to convince this guy he's wrong, that he should like me. And that's misguided thinking. The difference was I was, 29 years old, and Joe has been in the business for 35 years.
Right.
So at some point you got to say, well, this guy's never going to learn.
No, he said it multiple times, and he tells people not to go on my podcast because he tells them it's a big waste of time, which it is. But in this format, it's not as much as a waste of time. So that's why you're on.
Yeah, he's kind of shitty to Ray DeVito.
He's so shitty to him this entire time, and we have a clip of it being it. It actually made me mad. We'll get to it.
Is that the next clip?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
What do we got?
Let's take. We come up.
Okay, so this is what he just said. It's Carl and some other podcast that clearly he's watched.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be. I don't know. Maybe Tukey or Cardiff or one of those guys started talking about him. That's also possible.
It is possible.
So I just don't know, but I would assume he's got to be talking about us here, there. But this is where Ray DeVito brings me up, and this, I gotta say, this gay blind Mike is ruining my SEO.
I know.
People aren't gonna know who the fuck I am.
Super Chad,
Northwest
Ken. Go on, Blind Mike Project. What's that?
Northwest Ken.
I want to say now there's two blind mics. There's one blind mic.
Okay,
Ray
Ray.
himself. Ray liked that one. Ray was proud of himself.
He was a big fan of that.
There's one blind mic that's on WATP, and then there's another blind mic who's at Gas.
I don't think I am on WATP. I haven't been on in months. I think I've been banned from that program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
When's the last time I was on?
David Collins in the chat said, this is terrible news about Joe.
Well, David, don't worry. He's back, I guess. So
Yes.
cheer up.
I don't know which one is that, But Northwest Ken watches Skanks. I'm going to stop in for the end of Skanks. For something. I'm not
where Ray just turns it into a conversation about himself.
So if I get back from the comic strip in time, I'll
He trails off. Hey, well, thank you, Northwest Ken, at least, for saying go to the Blind Mike Project. And somehow Ray answered, I'm actually supposed to do Legion of Skanks later. It's like, well, that had nothing to do with anything. But
Well, Ray probably doesn't like us either because Hackride took a shit ton of shots at him when he first came over here.
But again, you can't get so obsessed as like this person made fun of me. You know?
I don't think he does.
I don't think Ray does.
No.
I don't know though. But that's the thing is like I don't know. Maybe Hackride does hate Ray DeVito, but like
He
they're
does.
they're fucking jokes.
Judging by the chat.
He's fucking around. Oh, is Hackride going off?
Yeah. He says he hates him cosplaying as Mark Normand. Which is pretty funny.
That's a good comparison.
That's a good joke, Hack, right?
Two blind mice.
So one of we have two clips left. One of these is the one I'm talking about. I don't know exactly which one, but this is Joe talking
Good to
about
keep teasing it then.
tricking. It's infuriating. But this is tricking the audience.
Oh yeah. This is where Joe you'll never be successful. I don't think in any, I was going to say in like comedy or podcast or anything. I assume in any field, I don't think you'll be successful by selling people a false product. Doesn't seem like a good idea, but that's what Joe is trying to do. He's trying to trick people into, giving him views and money.
Thing going on. You got to come and see my Italian shows. Now I'm doing them even in synagogues. I'm doing my Italian show in a synagogue.
What a sentence.
There you go. What made you do the Italian thing?
Well, I did my show in Cherry Hill at a different synagogue, but it was like a JCC, like a huge one, 500 seater, and we sold about 325 tickets, which was
better than Shop.
A normal show. That's good,
but
it sat 500. So I wanted to get the 500, and it made me.
Why is it in a synagogue? Hey, my mother makes a hell of a Sunday gravy. Just a sea of yarmulkes in the audience. What the fuck is he talking about?
He's like, hey, I'm gonna catch a cold over here.
Yeah, so he's like, listen to this brilliant game plan where he's like, listen, they got Jews built into the audience. Now if I can bring some Italians in, we got a perfect match. Listen, De Niro has played both. People barely even notice.
It's true.
Get the 500, and it made me realize, maybe it's hard to get non-Jewish people to go to a Jewish event, even though it's comedy. So I had thought,
you think, Joe? You think maybe there's a reason that there are comedy clubs and synagogues instead of just having them all in one place? You think there's a reason, Laugh Boston or Comedy on State or fucking the Mothership aren't like, yeah, and on Saturdays we have Jewish Mass.
I don't want Luis J. Gomez to make fun of me anymore. Anyways, this weekend I'm at a synagogue.
This weekend I'm performing a bris, but I'm going to work in some jokes. Let's break matzah this Saturday.
A lot of people though. 300 is pretty good.
It was a good turnout. We all
Only he could be pissed that many people came to see him.
It was a good turnout. Everyone was wildly confused. The word Meshuggah was getting yelled at me for some reason, but
made money. It was a good turnout. But this next one is a big venue also. So I said, because what was missing in that last show was me and a lot of my fan base. It was mostly the JCC's members that were there, and then some of my people, but not a lot. I didn't double what their people were. Or I would have sold it out. So I was like, okay, I need to.
You know what Joe should have done if he's trying to trick people into going to his shows? Say not that he's an Italian comedian, that he's a Palestinian comedian. It's like, hey, you guys might want to see this. It's going to be explosive.
Yeah.
Marketing, and you do your own marketing, so it's hilarious. So they're like not even mentioning the Italian thing, and then I'm marketing it on my end with the Italian thing, and it's just going to be an exact mix of Jewish and Italian. So
It's going to be a mix of an audience, is what we call it, Joe.
Yeah, and also not an exact mix of Jewish and Italian. It's going to be a lot of Jews that are going to their synagogue because they think they're having comedy night, and 3 guineas that you brought along with you.
I don't know why he's obsessed with the Italian thing.
Because he saw once that it worked, and he sees like Sebastian Maniscalco's career and says like, hey, a lot of Italian families go to see Sebastian. He doesn't realize that like Sebastian, whether you like him or not, has talent and charisma. He doesn't understand that the other thing, you can't just hashtag Italian in a post. Oh, there was one, me and Carl were talking about Joe's hashtags the other day, and I will say, sometimes you gotta hashtag comedy or stand up in your posts, especially when you're someone like Joe, where people wouldn't necessarily know what it was if he didn't label it that way. But in one of he must have had a bit about Jewish people or something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hashtags was Jews.
That's funny.
Hashtag Jews.
That's funny.
It's funny. I don't think he meant it to be, but
this is the last clip. This is a terrible idea.
it's just so Ray, I guess, did a ghost roast of Stuttering John, and it was pretty rough. It seems like the only thing that made it funny was like Tukey went on and started shitting on Ray, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the premise was Ray wanted to roast John. John didn't show up, so Ray still did the jokes. So it's like with that context, that's fine. I understand why he did it. But now Joe has this abysmal idea, and evidently he hates Luis J. Gomez so much now that this is his plan of attack to get back at him. The name Joe Matarese was organically mentioned on Lewis's podcast, and Lewis made a couple jokes. So in order to clap back at the rattlesnake, this is Joe's idea.
I'm saying let's roast somebody, but not invite them on purpose.
Oh no, I invited him.
I see what they're saying now that you're saying you're stupid.
You're
not.
Yeah,
fucking pissed me off.
Hey, Joe, maybe the idea was so terrible that Ray couldn't possibly fathom that you meant I'm just going to read jokes to nobody at the expense of Luis J. Gomez.
Yeah.
Even Ray couldn't wrap his mind around an idea that bad. He was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. He was giving you an out by saying like, oh, no, I wasn't dumb enough to not want Stuttering John there. I wasn't that much of a scared loser, because Joe knows that if he did something with Lewis, Lewis is just funnier and more interesting and has a bigger audience than him, so it wouldn't go well for Joe.
If I invite Lewis, he's going to get to respond.
Yeah, they should have it in a synagogue, Lewis versus Joe.
Yeah, you can pray that Lewis doesn't decimate you when it's his turn.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for the synagogue, it will all be slurs, so
that's
I
true.
don't know if they'd want it there, but
I'm saying let's roast somebody, but not invite them on purpose.
Oh no, I invited him.
I see what they're saying now that you're saying you're stupid. You're not.
Like Joe's above Ray.
Well, that's what pissed me off.
Yeah,
it's like people can call Ray stupid, but they're typically like his friends and talk to him all the time.
Yeah, and it's like if Ray were on here, I might make a joke similar to that, but just the tone that Joe uses, where he's looking down at Ray.
Right. That pissed me off.
It's like, why invite him on? And that was the shittiest thing. That's where we started to turn against Joe, when he was talking about like Mike Racine and Jordan Jensen. Like, I just can't motivate myself to be interested in these people. By the way, this Ray DeVito interview was after that. But
correct.
Still, he's like, I can't find any interest in these comedians that are more successful than me at a much younger age.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, I want to roast somebody. Like, say I want to roast Luis Gomez or something like that.
Okay, all
but
right.
not invite him, and we just roast him.
I like the idea.
Just do it then.
And one, just do it, and two, I hope Lewis has like that night off and finds his way to the show.
That's the thing is like Joe's picking the wrong guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Lewis is one guy that will respond to all of this stuff
For about a week straight, too.
Yeah, he's willing to get in the mud, you know?
Yeah.
If you had an issue with someone, well, I don't know, fucking Bert Kreischer or well, Bert would probably respond to it too. I'm trying to think of a better example. But
Tom Segura.
yeah, Segura wouldn't respond to this shit. Lewis certainly will. He's willing to get in the mud with you, and he'll be much meaner than you, Joe. What are you possibly gonna say about Lewis? That's where Joe doesn't think these things through. Like, oh, are you gonna slam the fact that his parents are dead? That's never been done. You're gonna call him an edgelord, Joe? Like, what unique perspective can you bring to the table? The answer is none, but Joe never realizes that.
And we have we have all our comedian friends on, and we roast him without.
I think they would all be like, "Why isn't Lewis here?"
I think they would all invite him.
Yeah. Hey, pretty weird that we're talking about a guy who's not here.
Hey, Big J, I got a favor to ask. Can you come out to my show and not tell Lewis?
there because he was a dick to me. Like, just be kind of fun to do that.
That would be it. But all right, I would do that. And
Hackride makes an amazing point. Lewis got into the mud with him. Like,
oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, Lewis is considers himself above nothing, which is a lesson maybe Joe should learn.
yeah. That's a great point from Hackride. It was like a day and a half where he was just going at it with him.
Yeah.
I would do that with you, or at least host it while you do that, because you're the one that has the beef with him. But as a friend of J. Gomez, I would let him know, and I think he would have fun with it.
Sure,
they
sure.
were covered on
I'm not
scams.
saying that, you know, I'm not a mean guy. So, but
then buckle up, Joe.
You better figure out how to be.
You're dealing with a mean man.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, Louis J. Gomez is also a great man. I think the defining moment to me of Louis J. Gomez for me is when I was at Skankfest this year, and I was I had two ladies I was chatting with. One was my girlfriend. He doesn't know that, and a female friend of mine. But I'm talking to them, and Louis comes up to me. Now, keep in mind, this guy doesn't know anything I've been doing.
Blind
He
Mike.
doesn't watch this
Blind
show.
Mike, who used to work for
There you go.
Barstool. Blind Mike.
Lou, enough, Louis, enough.
Gillis
Thank you.
podcast. Blind Mike.
Stop it. But he comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Mike, love the stuff you've been doing," and walks away. He doesn't know what the fuck I've been doing. He was just trying to, he was helping a guy out.
Right.
He was like, I'm going to make this guy look cool in front of whoever these girls are that he's talking to.
Yeah, he's the man.
That to me is Louis J. Gomez. Like, that's just a good man right there. But, if you fuck with him, he's going to respond, Joe. So just know that. When you say, hey, I'm not a mean guy, what you're doing is much meaner. You're saying, I want all of Lewis's friends to come and mock him without him knowing.
Right.
You're not a mean guy. You actually kind of are a mean guy, whereas Lewis is a funny guy. You know?
Right.
That's what you don't understand, Joe. Is there's a different I can't fathom how Joe came up with Artie Lang. Same with Stuttering John, actually, now that I think about it. How are you that close to that guy in particular? One of the best ball busters in radio history. And you don't get it still. That is what I can't wrap my head around, is the idea that you're close enough to Cumia, Jim Norton, and Artie to invite them on a show, and then when they start making fun of you, be like, whoa, what is this?
Easy, guys.
Whoa, I didn't expect this from you three. I thought you would give me some therapy.
I thought you were going to actually take it serious.
That's
Dan
where
Wizard,
Joe- yeah.
€2. Isn't Blind Mike Project for Kids your second channel? Question mark.
Wait a second. Craig,
I
what
didn't.
have you started?
I didn't start shit.
Hi, gang. It's like on who are these socials we talk about that queer kids stuff?
Yep.
That's what Craig does.
Nope.
It's like, hey, gang, here's what a penis is.
Echo Burrow, $5. Joe feels like he's going to live stream his trip to Greenland, then have it auto deleted 2 days later after 12 views.
I don't know what that means.
Me either. Dennis in East Boston, $2. Coleman or Justin in the weight loss challenge?
I think if Justin is devoted to it, which I assume he is, I think he's going to win easy. For two reasons. He has more weight to lose, and I think Coleman will just eat a little healthier and work out a little more, whereas I think Justin will starve himself for the next
if Justin
100
does
days.
if Justin does strict keto, he'll lose 40 or 50 pounds in that 100 days easy.
I think Justin could, between his demeanor and the amount of weight he can lose.
Yeah,
I think he should easily drop 50 pounds.
Exactly.
We'll
Dang Lizard, €5. Have you told Carl that roasting people that aren't there is a terrible idea and he'll never find the audience for that?
Well, you know what I mean. I mean like an actual roast where it's but seriously, we love you. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's true. I suppose he does call WATP a roast. But I just mean in the actual format of a roast where you have a dais.
Hacko Burrow in the chat says trip to Greenland means suicide. I've never heard that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I kind of like that. It's nice.
Yeah.
He's going to delete it because it got 12 views. That's pretty funny, actually. Reading back now. But let's finish this clip here.
Really mean jokes because I've done some roasts before, and it's weird when you're not a mean person and you go really mean. You're like uncomfortable. You can't. It's like you're having trouble saying.
Oh, I'm just such a nice guy. I can't even fathom what it would be like to be mean for a second.
Yeah, he's like, I'm such a nice guy. Ray inhales and he's like, pipe down, retard.
I'm so nice that I can't even imagine being mean to someone. Anyways, wouldn't it be cool to invite this guy's friends to something where we eviscerate him and exclude him? Anyways, I'm not a mean guy.
When it's his turn to respond, I'm gonna hide under a rock.
Hey, Ray, I'm starting to get what people mean about you being dumb. Anyways, I'm not mean. I don't like having Jordan Jensen and Mike Racine on my podcast because I view them as below me. But anyways, I'm super nice.
Port Film Co-op, $2. Blind Mike has a girlfriend. Rub salt in the audience wounds.
You guys have been coveting me for all this time? I didn't know.
It's very funny.
And you go really mean. You're like uncomfortable. You can't. It's like you're having trouble saying it. But at least him, he was kind of a dick to me, so it would be a little easier to do
I'll
research
let him know tonight.
on him.
I'll let him know tonight. You want me?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
No.
Go back. I just think it would be really funny to absolutely destroy this guy.
Well, I can tell him tonight if you want.
Great. I'll let him know.
Shush.
Don't, maybe he can find out after we already did it. Don't.
Maybe show him when it's all done.
I gotta hear that again. Listen how scared he is.
Go really mean. You're like uncomfortable. You can't. It's like you're having trouble saying it. But at least him, he was kind of a dick to me, so it would be a little easier to do
I'll
research
let him know tonight.
on him.
I'll let him know tonight. You want me?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
That reminds me of when me and the Be a Man guy Harmon were hanging out with Shane Gillis.
Mm-hmm.
And Harmon said, hey, Shane, you know who's got a major podcast? You know who's doing great on Patreon? Talking to literally the biggest Patreon in the world.
Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast has eclipsed 100,000 Patreon subscribers.
It's no longer, we couldn't have think of a more outrageous example on Patreon anymore. They are the biggest.
Yes.
And Harmon's like, you know who's crushing it on Patreon? And I was like, I know I said I was doing well, but that's not crazy.
1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Well, let me hear that one more time. Have the fear in Joe's voice. Ray's like, oh, awesome. Sounds like you're really confident about the idea. Let me tell the rattlesnake.
I'll be with him tonight.
Hey, we can get this done in hours.
If you want to set up the stream.
to do
I'll let him know
research
tonight.
on him.
I'll let him know tonight. You want me?
No, I don't know. I don't know if I.
Do
I don't
it.
know
You
the
should
point.
do it. It'll be fun.
I don't know if I definitely want to do it. I don't know the point is what he actually says there.
I don't know the point. How about everything you just laid out, Joe? It seemed like you had a good idea.
It seemed like you knew the point.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to do it if he's gonna know about it. I'm a super nice guy. I'd rather do it behind his back without anyone ever letting him know it exists.
I wish if Ray just grabbed his phone and called him while this was recording.
Ray just not getting. He's like, "Oh no, Joe, no problem. Let's get him on the horn right now."
You see, you just hear Ray go like, "Call Luis J. Gomez," and Joe's like,
No. It's you know what? It's fine actually. I was thinking maybe Lewis could roast me is what I meant because I'm so dumb. I'm a big loser. You know that's what I meant.
he could just have his way with me.
Oh, yeah. But that's the thing that Joe Matarese doesn't understand is like play along with Lewis. You'll be at Skankfest. You know.
Right.
And there, you don't have to be a laughingstock. Like they'll just let you do stand up in one of the rooms, and you can have a lovely time. You know.
You know, they would come to Joe and be like, "How about we do the roast of Joe Matarese at Skankfest? You'll get this much money." But it could be like the most money he's ever seen from a gig.
Well, here's where Lewis is actually above that stuff at times, where like he'll make fun of Opie and Stuttering John and Jim. Like he's aware of that world. But then is like, I don't feel like making my show about that.
Oh no, I'm not saying.
Whereas Big J would. When I was on Point Double Point, and Big J was in the chat.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, he's a huge Stern fan.
Yeah. And so he's into the Dabbleverse, I guess. But Lewis is like, yeah, I don't want to make the whole show. So I don't think he would do something like the roast of Joe Matarese.
I'm not saying he necessarily would, but I'm saying if he did and went to Joe with it and said, "This is gonna be the most money you've ever seen from a gig," Joe's ego would be like, "I can't."
Yeah, Joe wouldn't do it.
Right.
Or he would do it for the money and then pout his way through it.
Right.
Where it would be like Michael Scott. You know, he gets up and is like, "Boy, I didn't realize you guys were gonna go after me like that." You know.
Yeah, he would get up there to do like, you know how whoever gets roasted gets the last word.
Yeah,
he would just go up there and just start whining, just be like, "Guys, I thought we were friends, and then you said this about me."
Lewis said he wasn't going to be that mean, but I guess I guess I'm not funny.
You know, what would be the funniest thing though is if the feed cut right as Joe is about to talk. That would be very funny.
Yeah, no. Didn't you say, Joe, it'd be funny to roast someone who wasn't there? Joe's terrible ideas. But that's good news. So the podcast is back.
Yeah, let me look.
We only had to live in that darkness for. No, I looked this morning. There's no episodes up.
Maybe he's just starting over.
That's also wild.
Knowing him, he probably deleted them. He didn't just hide them.
He is such a reactionary girl that he was like, delete forever.
Let's see. Video. Yeah, no, they're all gone.
That was such a
they're all
those
gone.
posts. That first post where he's like, "I'm done," was such a long explanation that to follow that up 2 days later with actually I've reconsidered, I'm back, is so bipolar, like, and legitimately crazy. Like Joe thinks it's interesting to talk about his medications. He should be talking about that with a doctor because the man is not prescribed correctly. Now, Carl said something interesting that I never heard before, that people in that circle of comedians thought Joe was going to be like a big deal at one point.
I thought so.
Like he had a good career going, and the speculation is once he got on all that medication suggested by his wife, that bye-bye. Bye-bye, funny Joe. It just evaporated, I guess.
Right. Do you want to... I just went to check. All the videos are gone, but he's got a 1-minute stand-up video pinned. If you want to...
What's it titled? Because we might have watched it the other night.
Oh, rich husbands versus non-rich husbands?
Oh, I don't think so.
Let's take a look.
Let's give it a whirl.
And this guy makes so much money that he can come up with spur-of-the-moment ideas and get away with it, right? I'm over his house this past football season, Philadelphia, 5 of 1 on a Sunday. He just looks at his watch. He goes, "Shit, Joe, game's starting in about 5 minutes. What do you want to do for the games?" I'm like, "I don't know. We could go in your home theater, watch them on your 8-foot 3D IMAX. That'd be fun. He just looks at me and goes, dude, screw it. Let's just go to the game. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, we could be there in 25 minutes. My company has its own private box. We'll eat for free. We'll drink for free. It'll be unbelievable. Honey, Joe and I are going to the game, all right? Yeah, watch the kids while we're gone, and we come back, have an amazing dinner ready for us. We'll be starving. See ya.
This is rough.
Out the front door. Now I'm standing there in front of my wife like, am I allowed to go with him?
You know what? That wasn't a terrible punch. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is endless.
That was pretty.
That wasn't a terrible punchline.
That was pretty funny. I've always pretty much enjoyed his stand-up.
I've never enjoyed it, but it's certainly better than his podcast. Like that's not even debatable. I don't.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
But that's always been the thing on Joe, where people say like he's just a bad podcaster. Why he continues to attempt it? Like, keep attempting it if you're going to accept that you're bad on it. Here's the problem with Joe, is he says things like, listen, I know I'm a bad podcaster. Terrific. That's a little self-awareness there. Either stop podcasting or be a purposely bad podcaster. Be a guy like Kevin Brennan and Stuttering John that just reads super chats from people that hate you. You know, like do that or don't do it at all. Because you can't keep doing something where you're like, I suck at this, but maybe in my 15th year doing it, at age 56, suddenly, magically, through no effort or ability, I'm just going to become better at this. Like, that's a wild mindset to have.
John's mom craves man goo for $5.
I don't know if that's true, by the way.
I'm just reading the name. That's
I understand. Yeah. Oh, that's his Christian name. I see.
Yeah. Blind Mike equals most underrated podcast in the Dabbleverse.
Well, thank you, buddy. That's very kind of you to say.
How sweet.
All right, so that's about enough of Joe. That's as much Joe as I can take for one day. Real quick, I did want to talk about this. It came up at speaking of Justin and Coleman. This came up at lunch the other day, and Kirk is very tapped into the movie biz, obviously. He mentioned this to me. Did you see the rumor that Shane Gillis
Yes.
is going to be starring in a Quentin Tarantino picture?
Yeah, I saw that. It's been
So
like
it's-
last week or something.
It feels completely like clickbait.
Yes.
Like, oh, we'll just throw that in. Kirk follows that stuff very closely, and he's like, no, I thought it was, and it seems like a legitimate rumor. Not that it's happening, but that it's like a real possibility.
It came from
And then
a real place.
I listened to Matt and Shane this week to see if there was any like throwaway joke about it. They didn't mention it at all. So I don't know. Is it possible there's something in the works?
Does that, if they don't speak about it, does that mean there's more truth to it?
That's what I'm wondering. Is like you'd think they would have. Now that this is probably reading way too much into it, but you'd think so Simon Rex was on, who's an actor. You would think at some point there'd be some throwaway joke about it. You know?
Simon Rex was on Matt and Shane?
Yeah.
Really? I only know that guy from Vine.
See, he's been on. He was on We Might Be Drunk also,
and
the song My Dick I was a big fan of when I was.
And Scary Movie, maybe.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I think one of those.
But yeah, he was on there, so I was like, oh, maybe a little acting talk. Maybe they'll make fun of this story, but it never came up. I wonder about this because Tarantino does weird stuff like that. But to make him the star of the movie seems a little extreme.
Yeah, the rumor du jour, which is about to spread like wildfire after this post, is that comedian Shane Gillis might have landed the lead role in Quentin Tarantino's final film, The Movie Critic. Do I believe this? Not really. That's why it's being branded as a rumor, but it'd be nice if Sony or whoever is backing the new Quentin Tarantino comes out and denies what I'm reporting.
Why are you reporting it then, jackass? Well, it'd be nice if you denied this. But yeah, I get like there again, not that it's going to happen, but there seems to be like the possibility of it being a real rumor, like something Tarantino maybe has actually thought about, which is pretty crazy. Again, that's something Tarantino would absolutely do. Put Shane Gillis in one of his movies, but to make him the star in his last movie.
is crazy.
That doesn't make any sense to me. And I love Shane. I would hope he would do very well in that. But it seems bizarre when it's like your other movies star Brad Pitt and DiCaprio and these people, you know?
Yeah. Port Film Co-op, $2. Please fan fiction a fourth Porcelain Joe documentary.
we could try on this chapter of his life, maybe.
Yeah, just have a Hackride just make like a full AI.
What happened? What happened to Porcelain? Has he made any recent documentaries?
No, I don't believe so. Let me check because he used to come out like bi-monthly with them.
Pretty
maybe?
regular, yeah.
Yeah, like 6 a year or so.
I remember he talked about doing one on Kreischer, and at the time he was like, "There's not enough to talk about." I think now there would be.
Oh yes, that was a few years ago. And there was who's the other one? It's Porcelain, and then there was another one that would
Beige
always
Frequency.
Yes, and one of them actually made something after Shane Gillis's first special came out, and I remember he was talking about seeing it before he watched it.
Yeah,
and he,
yeah.
Cleared the room he was in. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like I need to be alone.
But that's what I'm talking about with Matarese. Is like Shane's a guy that would watch the Beige Frequency thing, and even if he was being shit on, be like, there's funny parts of this, you know?
Yeah.
They did with I think because we can't in 2 weeks. We'll be live next week, and then I think the week after we have to pre-record. And I was thinking of doing. I have a couple different ideas, but one of them was something to do with Crack Amico, who's a guy that makes raps about like, the comedy world.
Yes.
And they played that song on Legion of Skanks and then sent it to Bert to get his reaction.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Bert was like, "Boy, you make some points." So it's like you kind of have to have that perspective where it's like I'm not above being made fun of or criticizing, you know?
Right. Porcelain hasn't posted in a year.
That's sad. We lost a great documentarian.
He made a community post 5 months ago, but just kind of said he's making something. That's it.
Oh man. Well, I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much legs there are to this Shane Gillis thing, but we'll keep an eye on it. I just can't see him. Would he have to like? Does the character have Shane Gillis's voice? Like, I can't imagine him talking not like him. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting, but we'll keep tabs on that. What do you think we should get to next?
You go up to Seattle.
Why
you ask
yeah,
me?
why the heck not? Because we've been talking about Legion of Skanks and stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Seattle Comedy Club a couple weeks ago. And then I heard a few people mention an interview the club owners did with Gnome from the Comedy Cellar, the guy that owns the Comedy Cellar. Apparently they do a Comedy Cellar podcast. It's Dan Natterman and the Comedy Cellar owner, Gnome. So they had these Seattle Comedy Club owners on, and boy, were these two just deer caught in the headlights.
Yep.
Like this was a disaster for them.
This is them talking about their booking process.
Okay. Oh yeah, but I guess I'll set it up because we didn't talk about it very long. If you don't remember, Jim Florentine, Kurt Metzger, Louis J. Gomez, and Dave Smith had gigs canceled at this club because these owners booked them without realizing who they were and then canceled them.
Well, so what happened?
Is that enough to understand the whole reasoning?
All right. Try to have an open mind.
Okay. Sorry.
Their agent got in contact with me, or Kurt's agent. They sent me an email and they asked if
now Kurt is not one of the Legion of Skank.
he is not.
Yes.
And
He's Skank adjacent.
yes, but yes, right. But so, which I didn't know. I didn't know who the Legion of Skanks were. I'd never heard of them. I had known Kurt from Chelsea.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, Craig. These two are comedians, supposedly. They never heard of. Yeah, they own the club, but they say they're also comics.
Oh.
They've never heard of like Skankfest or Legion of Skanks. They never heard of Big J Okerson. That seems surprising if you're claiming you're comedians. You never heard of Kurt Metzger or Jim Florentine?
By the way, them claiming they're comedians doesn't mean they are.
Well, I mean, they own a club that I assume they do stand up at. So
right.
through their own power, they must do stand up.
who the Legion of Skanks were. I'd never heard of them. I had known Kurt from Chelsea Lately.
I was just gonna say either Amy Schumer or
Yeah, what a bizarre way. That's the worst possible. It's hilarious that Kurt has ties to those people.
I know.
Because it's just such an opposite world.
Right.
I used to watch. I used to love, that kind of pop culture stuff.
You
so
must
I knew
be
him
hilarious.
from there. And so when I saw a message for Kurt Metzger, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I Googled him, and he has a Peabody, and I'm like,
Yeah, he also has a special and a podcast that were on the Gas Digital Network.
Oh my God, she's talking about that's why she's gonna book him. He's got a
He has a Peabody. That must mean he's really funny.
Oh God.
Can we pull up while we're listening to this? Can you pull up a list of Peabody winners
in comedy?
No. No, in the world.
All right.
Well, let's hear the rest of this clip. But I'm curious how many would make me laugh of these Peabody winners. But let's hear this broad.
And so when I was on the phone with his agent, he was like, oh, well, while I have you, I also have these 3 other guys. And I'm like, hell yeah. And so I got off the phone with their agent feeling like an all-star. I'm like, I just booked 4 headliners. I am.
And you're a relatively small club.
Yes. And I am yeah.
How many seats?
Depending on how we set it up, but 150, 175.
Oh, that's not that small. And you're just starting out, relatively new.
We opened in May.
So to have a national act at your club is a feather in your cap.
Big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a new booker. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so I was
to me, like Gnome accepted that as an excuse. Pause. Gnome accepted that as an excuse throughout the interview.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, you're new to this. You don't know what you're doing. I wouldn't open up a comedy club then maybe if you have no idea who to book. Like I'm not like, listen, you might not be the greatest business person yet because you don't have any experience. That's perfectly fine. But to say I'm opening a comedy club without any idea of who comedians are, that seems ill-advised. That's like, hey, I opened up a pizza place. Now I've never tried pizza in my entire life.
Why?
I don't know what it's supposed to taste like.
Why did this person cancel Louis J. Gomez? Let's find out. Oh my God, it was Sunday afternoon. By the way, you want some Peabody winners?
Yeah,
it's
please.
Television shows and stuff like that.
Okay.
Let's see. We need to talk about Cosby. That one.
That sounds hysteric. I know Bill Cosby. He was very funny.
Frontline, the power of big oil.
I'm laughing already. This is good stuff.
Frontline again. Ukraine, life under Russia's attack.
Okay, good. You know what? Maybe you can see these people headline in Seattle.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. Like people that talk like this are big fans. Guns in America, that one.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of funny stuff. Guns in America, I'm sure, is a hilarious take on gun control.
The rebellious life of Miss Rosa Parks.
Get to the back, lady.
This is all the last Peabody Awards, by the way. This isn't like through time. This is just the last one.
Just recently, yeah.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like a hoot. This Peabody. We gotta check into this next year.
I think so. I'm trying to look. See, Better Call Saul won.
Well, there you go. I know Colbert won once.
He's
really funny now.
Atlanta won.
Oh, all right. Donald Glover's funny.
Yep. Abbott Elementary.
Okay, it's a comedy technically.
Let's see.
These are all really good stand-ups, though. I guess is my point. Well, Donald Glover actually was, but
the Today Show.
Oh, good.
So
that's her booking process. Now, again, like if you're running your first business and you're saying I don't have a lot of experience in business, that's fine. But you should have some idea. You should have some passion for what the business represents.
Yeah.
Like if you open a restaurant, you should have some knowledge of food service. If you open a comedy club, have some idea of what comedians are. And you should probably know that the Peabody Award is not geared towards comedy.
Nope. It's, the problems with America. That's what's dealing with.
Let's hear. What did Kurt win a Peabody for?
I'll look that up. when this is playing.
Okay.
And so I had them. That was on February, I believe, like February 8th. And then I did a little bit more research and realized, like maybe, this might not be the good idea that I thought it was going to be. And
so tell us about the research.
Just, I talked to investors and just people.
Whoa, hold on a second.
You know,
investors of what? Gas Digital? What do you mean investor? Because you said you did research about these people. You spoke to people that have given you money.
Ugh.
And that's your research. I don't understand. So like when I was a kid and I did a book report, like research would be me saying like, hey mom, what do you think about Martin Luther King? That would be considered research in this lady's mind.
It was Inside Amy Schumer.
Really? Oh, well, good for him.
Yeah.
It was a heck of a program.
Yes. All their own material.
Let's hear about this lady's research.
Have been said, and
So just to go step by step. So I'm going to say so
when someone comes to you and they're like, yeah, we want to book our client here. Like, how many Oscars do I have? Like, shut up.
They ever won a Nobel Prize? That would be really cool.
This is a real upscale place for dick jokes.
Yes.
And then the investors caught wind of it by looking at the calendar, or you reached out to the investors to let them know?
No, I looking at the calendar.
They looked at the calendar, and then they contacted you.
Yes.
And said what?
That this was probably not a good idea. These are not people that you wanted to welcome.
I don't think this lady knows what research is.
This lady's front lawn definitely has that. In this house, Black Lives Matter. Science is real. The ozone is dying, and blah blah blah.
You can tell Craig has a different angle on this.
Well, it's like people are closed-minded and they can't listen to any conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's crazy to be like, here's my research. Is people emailed me and said, I don't like Kurt Metzger. That's her research. So if you were to do like research on me, you would look at the YouTube comments and say like, I don't even know if this guy's really blind.
I don't know if we focused enough on the first thing she said was he has a Peabody Award.
I think we focused plenty on. We looked up a list of Peabody Awards. What do you want me to do?
That is just so insane for a comedy club to be like,
of course it is.
He's got a Peabody Award. He can come here.
That's hilarious. The hilarious Peabodys. Who hosts that? Carrot Top?
Ugh.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's the situation is not.
This guy's a fucking cuck ass too. Like he's just like, yes, honey, you're right.
He comes off to me worse than she does. We'll see.
Yeah, because
Craig's hatred of women is seething through.
No. I hate this guy the most because she doesn't know shit. He knows, but he's like, yes, whatever you say.
We'll see.
Investors dictate to us who we can book, but it was a seed that was planted that then we went and we started talking to comedians we work with, producers that we work with, folks in the neighborhood to kind of understand the feeling.
The neighborhood.
Not only are we new club owners, new bar owners, we're young comedians too, right?
This dude is 50 with a gray beard.
Yeah. That's I'm sure Gnome, he's there. He could probably weigh in on this. I'm sure Gnome walks outside and says to just passersby, hey, Louis C.K. is performing here tonight. Is that cool with everybody?
You guys all right with that?
Hey, neighbors. People in the neighborhood. Now, I keep going back to something she said, though. Is like, they're going to get into their philosophy on comedy and everything. But she said, hey, I thought it was really cool that I was able to book 4 headliners. So in her mind, she wanted this to be a successful comedy club with headlining acts coming. And yet when they find out who Louis J. Gomez is, they change their tune. They should talk to Matarese. He hates Louis.
I'm stunned Don Lemon's not headlining next weekend.
It's going to be a wacky show. Yeah. Guys, come see Anderson Cooper live.
Rachel Maddow. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next we have a diverse perspectives.
Oh, look at this. Barry Weiss live in Seattle.
Dude, George Stephanopoulos is going to come on and shame rape victims right from our stage.
It's a laugh and a half here in Seattle.
You can tell Jerry's back. I'm getting way more mad.
Oh, well, you'll love this. try and try and keep it down here. But the neighborhood that they're in is basically where that Chaz was.
Oh, I knew that immediately. You didn't have to tell me that. I could just tell.
Yeah.
They're supplying them with food on the other side of the Chaz. That's the
Hey guys, you can't see Jim Florentine, but a mysterious pile of bricks did show up right outside the
cement milkshakes, perhaps.
Much of the email tracks what you've already said, but then there's one part here which says, we truly value the art of comedy and the diverse perspectives it brings to our lives.
Sure.
But it sounds like that's the opposite of what you're saying. You don't want diverse perspectives. You want perspectives that conform to your perspective.
I think that there's a difference between saying I value a perspective and I want someone to come into my business to represent it.
I value a perspective. It's at its greatest value right outside my doors.
I bet this is like the first application that says thoughts on George Floyd and has a blank space underneath you to write.
Oh, this perspective is so valuable that I don't want it. I want anyone else but me to have it. That's how valuable this perspective is. Gnome, by the way, does a great job in this. I encourage anyone that's interested in this subject to go listen to the full podcast. It's from a couple weeks ago. But Gnome does a very good job pushing back on them, as I think you'll hear throughout these clips.
Yeah, I like too. It's like arguably one of the, if not the second most successful comedy club ever. The guy has it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think
the opposite of me.
I could be wrong. I think Gnome is a fairly liberal guy. I could be totally wrong on that. But I think he is.
And I think that's important in comedy club owners.
Yeah, right.
I think that there's a place for all sorts of stand-ups. These guys got rebooked in Tacoma. I think that's fantastic. Those are great clubs.
Shut up.
And they'll do very well, and I'm happy for them.
I mean,
it's not that I don't think they should be able to do comedy. It's just I don't want them to do comedy in my club because it's not a good business decision. It's not.
Well, if it's not a good business decision, then shouldn't every comedy club have that stance? They are all businesses.
No, the best business decision was shedding the light that they did on their club recently.
That's true. But like, it's a bad, hey, it's just not, it's plain and simple. It's not a good business decision to book these for. But I hope other comedy clubs book them. I hope comedy clubs that want to fail book these guys. It's just me that wants to be a successful comedy club owner. I'm not going to do it.
You remember what this club was called?
No, I don't.
I want to look up who they have coming up. I'm curious.
You're not going to know the names. Like they have. I don't know if we have it in one of the clips, but one of the shows that they do is called Queers to the Front.
Mike, you want to know how unsurprised I am by that?
I'm just saying, it's like that. I don't think you're going to get, as Gnome tells them, he's like, listen, you want to talk about what's a good business decision? That's a bad business decision.
Yeah,
like,
Friday night.
I have shows where it's just gay people or just black people or whatever. It should be the funniest comedians.
Yeah, Friday night we're gonna have people come in. We're gonna shut all the lights off, and you just scream at the top of your lungs just to get it out, and then you can leave. That's
we have Rape Victim Tuesdays where you come in and you scream about being raped.
Yeah, exactly. You can come in. We're gonna have a debate on which bathroom you guys can use while you're here next week.
About
it's hard. It's a hard sell to say I really value diverse perspectives, but not in my club. I mean, wouldn't you have it in your club?
Well, but we do have diverse perspectives. We just don't.
From what to what's the range?
We have black people that think like us, white people that think like us, gay people that think like us, straight people that think like us.
We have people that are for hormone blockers and people who are really for hormone blockers.
Diverse perspectives.
I mean, we have
like me in my club. We had a night where they had Norman Finkelstein calling Israel a genocidal state. Would you allow that in your club, by the way?
Honestly,
they're afraid to say yes.
I don't know where we're allowed to stand on that issue.
Exclusively, but no. Yes.
Well, Gnome brings this up. Gnome's Jewish.
And
he's obviously talking about like the Israel-Palestine stuff. And he says, like, so you don't allow, right-wingers that the media calls anti-Semitic, but you'll allow left-wingers that are actively being anti-Semitic
Right.
and shitting on Israel. Like that you'll allow.
Right.
So like I said, Noam does a very good job in this.
I don't know. That's sure. You remind me of the Harvard president. And then another night we had some people from the IDF answering questions about defending the IDF. So that's diverse perspectives.
Right.
And we get a lot of flack for that, but we actually do value diverse perspectives, and we try to live that way. As a matter of and I put on perspectives that make my stomach turn because I feel that's my obligation to do that. It's only meaningful to say I'm about free speech when I have to sit through speech that really bothers me.
Out of way, Noam. What Noam's saying, like, hey, and Noam brings it up to them. They're talking about, the Legion of Skanks advertise themselves as the most offensive podcast on earth, which they do purposefully, so clubs like this don't book them.
Correct.
And not realize what they're doing.
Right.
But Noam found an old ad that I assume ran in like newspapers or something for a Richard Pryor show, where it was like vulgar, edgy, offensive. That's how Richard Pryor branded himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so by this standard, you wouldn't book Richard Pryor in your club. And they had to be like, I guess you're right. No, we wouldn't. It's like, do you realize what you're saying? Like the greatest, by the way, African-American comedian of all time, you wouldn't allow to work in your club.
Well, they get a free pass. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
These two are going to kneel down and say, we're sorry for the racism that happened.
It was funny because Lewis said after Shane hosted SNL, he goes, I saw a lot of people saying like, hey, did Shane hosted SNL, the official end of cancel culture? And I was like, yeah, my gigs just got canceled because I'm a Nazi, but whatever.
This one is the F word.
The F slur. I should make that known because they got confused at the beginning when he was like, so you can't say the N word, the F word, that sort of stuff. And Noam was confused. He was like, you can't say the F word. And they had to clarify, but they talk more about that here.
These people are censoring the comics.
You can't. Yeah, you're not allowed to say slurs on stage.
Ugh.
I more lament the audience that you're dealing with than your reaction to it, because I understand why you might have blinked, but the hunger of the blood that audience is after to make sure that nobody shall say or think anything that they don't approve of, and they'll ruin you, even if they know you're an ally. If you God forbid would try to feed yourselves by putting on Kurt Metzger or Dave Smith, that disturbs me.
Well, I think that's a mischaracterization. It's not about speech police. It's not about you can't say anything you want. What we're reacting to is statements made at the expense of other people.
What statement?
I mean, the Legion of Skanks. Like, if you look at,
they said a bunch of things. I don't have one example because I didn't find any on my own. I listened to my investors. My research was people emailing me saying I don't like these guys, so I don't have any examples. But that's the thing, Lewis. Noam keeps coming back to, where it's like, hey, maybe they say crazy shit on their podcast or whatever. Dave is a political comedian. Like, Dave Smith's audience is not going there for a Legion of Skanks show. They're going there for Dave Smith. So why did you cancel Dave Smith? Which we'll get to the reveal of why in a little bit. But this guy has no answers because he didn't find the answers on himself. He's letting other people control him. That's where it's like, I kind of agree with Noam's point where he's like, I don't blame you guys for panicking. But here's the thing people never learn, is if these guys came on the Comedy Cellar podcast, which, by the way, they flew themselves out for, so they found it important to address this. If they went on and were like, why do you think we cancel? Listen to the Legion of Skanks. Lewis is a racist. He screams the N-word for no reason. Like, come on, what do you mean, why did we cancel them? Like, that would have been funny.
Right.
And those guys would have had fun with that. And they would have they would have turned it to where they like these guys now. But everything in this world has to be so morose. And it's like, well, I just think this deserves a serious discussion, and there's no place for humor when it comes to subjects like. And it's like, okay, have a little fucking fun with it once in a while, you know?
So I clicked on the schedule that they have. I see in the next 3 months one name I recognize, and that's Eddie Pepitone.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say is like, hey guys, Eddie Pepitone, and there was another Katie Boyle. Katie Boyle is a regular guest on the Real Ass podcast, and Eddie Pepitone I've seen multiple years at Skankfest.
Yeah.
So you guys might want to get back on that research train.
This isn't us canceling them. That's helping them not waste their weekend going to this place.
Right, exactly. But what I'm saying is like, be consistent. You're not allowed to have anyone. Jim Florentine did nothing to deserve this.
Nothing.
So you just had him on. You just canceled him because he's associated with these guys in some roundabout way. So that's true of other comedians you're booking. You realize that, right?
Maybe they called Florentine to ask him about his past, and he paused so long they thought he hung up, and they just canceled it.
Yeah, and they named Katie Boyle, who's like an Irish female comedian. They were like, oh well, like she's, we think she's a little edgy, but she's also funny. And it's like, yeah, but based on your own words, her association with them makes her uncouth to book.
Are these two married?
No one quite knows that. I heard other podcasts talking about these two also. And it seems like they date, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, this guy is just, he's got a dog leash around his neck. And she's
they could just be business partners, but I'm not sure.
It's they praise themselves. This is the podcast where you're going to hear the word faggot. This is the podcast where you're going to hear.
Whoa! Noam gets him on this in a second, by the way. Well, Noam gets him on this in a second.
This is the podcast where you're going to hear the word faggot. This is the podcast where you're going to hear the N-word, and we don't care.
Is that true, Max? Can you look that up?
Well, and Noam is correct. They do say those words on there, but they don't advertise themselves as that.
Right.
That's not in any pamphlets on the Legion of Skanks.
Right.
Hey, we say the N-word. Come watch us.
I think the F word that this comedy club doesn't like is fun. What I'm gathering.
It's very interesting that he's like, hey, in no context is that right? Meanwhile, he just spit it out, which Noam picks up.
Depends how they use it, right?
I don't think so.
Well, you just used it.
I used it as an example.
I used it. Oh, wait a second.
See, this guy's all for the Legion of Skanks. This woman is just dragging him down.
No, I actually disagree. I think if you watch the full interview, I think the woman comes off better because at least she keeps saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I never should have booked them, blah, blah, blah. Where he's kind of the one doubling down on like a lot of what they represent is very bad. I think he comes off worse than her in the interview.
Yeah.
You use it in discussing it. You use. I mean, did you call somebody? I mean,
but that wasn't a joke though, and it wasn't an attempt to make it.
It wasn't a joke. I was just.
It wasn't a joke. I was really using hate speech.
There was no joke involved. I was just saying it, and I wasn't. I said the long version, which is the one that sounds worse.
Hey, there was no. The thing about the Legion of Skanks is they'll say it and have no hate in their heart. I spit it out into a microphone just because. I had no reason to do it.
You'll say it to Milo Yiannopoulos' face and have a laugh.
Joke.
You got me. I did say it. Yes.
You're talking about fuck earlier.
You use it in discussing it. You use. I mean, did you call somebody? I mean,
but that wasn't a joke though, and it wasn't an attempt to make a joke.
No, it was just a
I'll
real
listen more
statement.
than most offensive podcasts on earth. I mean, I read somewhere that there was a quote, and it's something that
I read somewhere there was a quote once of a paragraph of a biography that said that they once thought about saying it and they might have it in something that says something. Shut the fuck up.
They have a segment like about is someone justified in using the N-word?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, Lewis says the core values of the show are rape, racism, and retardation.
Two Jews and a Puerto Rican is the show.
Well, that's very true. Yeah, people call them Nazis, and they're two Jews and a Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
But the greater point is they're speaking to their own detriment here, because they're like, look, it's everywhere. It's in the bio of the show that they're offensive, and I thought you said you did your research on them. What happened to all that research you did?
Tiger Lily in the chat says they're as enraging as Stuttering John. I think they're way worse.
Stuttering John, at least you can have a laugh at. These people are so goddamn serious.
Yeah.
They actively market is that we are outrageous. We are offensive.
Why'd you book them if they actively market it?
Because they didn't.
That's what I
care.
don't get. That's
They
the part I don't get.
Email from some turquoise-haired idiot with a nose ring, being like, "You shouldn't have them." We got one last clip from these guys.
This is
All or None.
I think they would be good on the dais with Joe Matarese. That's what I say. Because I think we're about to learn something about the gigs that were canceled.
CJ Spags, $10. Love the show, but only thing I don't understand is how is Luis J. Gomez racist? His father was a black Puerto Rican.
Because people are dumb, and Lewis will say he's racist, so they're like, he must be racist. But they don't realize he's fucking around. He's mixed race.
Yes.
That's what's so crazy about it.
And he's kissed guys on stage, so he can say a whole lot of words.
Yeah, right. He sucked Bobby Kelly's dick.
He kissed our very own Chef Lewis 3 times in one night.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's on video.
Yeah.
Those comics have their own viewpoints, and they're completely free to express them. Where I draw the line is when you start disrespecting or denigrating someone else's existence.
But did they?
The comics who've done the comics I just listed.
I think you're drawing the line.
Sure, probably, unless you ask me a follow-up about it. Definitely they did.
This guy's such a phony. He better not say F word from here on out. He better just say the full word the rest of this show. He stepped in it.
But this is like, Gnome, they're like, hey, you can't denigrate other people. You can't say this. You can't say that. And Gnome keeps asking him, did they do that, though? And they're like, blah, 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 blah.
This guy would have Luis J. Gomez arrested in the middle of his set.
And you know what's very interesting? He would have Luis J. Gomez arrested, and Luis J. Gomez would have them on his show.
Right.
I think that tells you everything you need to know about all the people involved here.
Right.
Meaning that like Jim Florentine denigrates people's existence, and I'm just saying, it's not to my knowledge he wouldn't and hasn't.
I'm not saying that he does that. I'm saying that we're talking about the philosophy of the club. We're talking about what.
I don't know if you know this, Gnome, but he has a special needs puppet.
20 years ago, he was a retarded puppet. Don't you know that? No.
Maybe this guy was just on Crank Anchors. He was like a call victim.
It'd be great if it was solely we're gonna learn there's one name. It'd be great if it was just Jim Florentine. They're like, listen, we like the other guys. but I'm a fan of ketchup, and I don't think it is childish.
what you're characterizing as stifling someone's First Amendment rights, telling them they can't say something. What we're saying is you can't ridicule people from our stage. I'm not saying that's what Jim Florentine's going to do.
Right, but Jim Florentine's the guy you won't let play there. So you are saying that's what he's going to do,
right?
Aren't you?
It's a great point.
The podcast and the group, and I know
the podcast. 2 of the guys are not on the podcast. Stop saying the podcast. Kurt Metzger, the last time I remember Kurt Metzger being on Legion of Skanks, I'm sure he's been on other times.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I remember him being on, Luis J. Gomez physically assaulted him. So I wouldn't say Kurt is one of the Legion of Skanks. I don't remember Jim Florentine. I'm sure Jim's been on also.
Probably.
I listened to a lot of episodes. I don't remember the last time Florentine was on there.
Either.
Yeah. I'm sure he's been on, but he has not been on enough that I would consider him one of the Legion of Skanks. So stop bringing up the podcast.
Is that these guys all came to us from one manager. Yep. They were all booked at the same time. It's not like
he just needs to just come out and say it's Dave Smith's fault for being a political comic.
It's interesting. Well, maybe we'll both have our theories then, but let this play out.
We could go and say, we don't want this guy. We don't want this guy. We want this guy.
So who's the guy you really didn't want? Who's the one who had to go?
It was Jim.
Jim Florentine?
Yeah,
no,
it's not Jim. Is I mean, So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, part of that is just the reality of canceling multiple acts with a management that they're, you know, we just assumed.
So there's one act there.
You just assumed.
I don't want you to say who it is because obviously you don't want whoever their followers are. Just, you know, I get.
I mean, it's gonna.
But obviously, what you're implying is that it was all or nothing, and within that bouquet of comedians, one of them was more than you could risk.
So you think that's Dave?
Yeah.
Interesting. I assumed Lewis.
Definitely Dave.
Well, Lewis. Think about this though. Lewis is much harsher.
Yeah, but
like his personality is harsher.
Dave's up there going, anyone who's in the Chaz is retarded.
And that's a good point. Yeah, maybe it's Dave.
Definitely.
But clearly it's one of those two.
Yes.
So it's weird that you couldn't just book Jim Florentine, you know?
It's definitely Dave. I think it's definitely him. He's on part of the problem. He's exploding and he hates liberals.
And he's been on Rogan a bunch.
Yeah, they're like, Rogan? Ew.
Yeah.
That guy with Bernie Sanders? Ew.
He's had like RFK Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy and these people on. So yeah, maybe it is that makes sense. My mind went right to Lewis just because they talk about like, oh, you can't say these slurs. And Lewis, even though Dave in his special says the dreaded F word.
Yeah, but if they find out that Lewis is like a black Puerto Rican, they're just going to kiss his feet and apologize for existing as white people.
Whatever you want, sir. Have our club.
You can have it as reparations, Lewis. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah, so go watch it, and they talk about like they got bomb threats and all this stuff. Which, by the way, people are assholes that do that. And Noam actually did something very interesting. He played a couple voicemails that they got. And the people leaving them voicemails are assholes. Like it's, threats and all that kind of stuff. So that part I do get, and I get why a business would panic and all that kind of stuff. But their logic, I say this about apologies too. And listen, maybe if I'm in that situation where I feel like my career's on the line, like, when I thought Portnoy was going to fire me, I was like, sorry, Dave. Yeah. So I get it, like thinking you're going to lose everything. But I don't understand why everything always has to be melodramatic, where it's like if they came on this podcast, and again, they're not in that frame of mind, maybe next time they will be. Maybe this is a learning experience. I doubt it. But if they came on and were like, what do you mean? Why would we get losers are racist? What do you mean? Like if they joked about it, then everyone would have been like, okay, whatever. They're just different perspectives. Why would they have Lewis there, But the tone of it where it's like, we respect their opinions. We value their opinions. We just don't want them anywhere near the business that we own. And Noam makes a lot of good points because they kept saying like, hey, we're just a small comedy club. And Noam is like, yeah, well, there were a lot of small diners that wouldn't let black people in the 50s, He made a good point.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't think they were making national news, but
oh,
they did.
boy did they.
Yeah.
Dang Lizard, €5. He's right. Instead of making a joke, let's seriously discuss burning Kreggers on a bundle of sticks.
Yes. That's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm convinced that's about Dave.
Him being more political does make sense. Lewis is like dirtier.
For
so
sure.
My mind went there. But.
For sure. But just like I said, as soon as the first clip we played, just the woman, like right off the bat, I was like, oh, she hates Dave Smith.
And how shitty is it? And listen, Florentine got other gigs out of this, so it worked out for him.
Yep.
But how shitty is it to make the joke like, oh, it was Jim Florentine. Ha ha ha. Obviously not. Well, you canceled the guy.
So it was.
Luckily, he was able to replace that money, but you took money out of his pocket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, either it was Jim or why the fuck did you cancel him? Did the manager take some moral stance? Like, it's all of them or none of them?
Right.
Because that'd be a good manager to have. It's like, hey, I represent Matt Rife and fucking Tom Myers, and they both get booked everywhere.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Carl Heberger, $5.
I know that guy.
Is that actually him? When Dave Smith was in Rochester, Antifa protested outside of the club.
Yes, that's happened a couple times with Dave. So that does make sense. I didn't think of that angle. That does make more sense.
Well, there'll be a unlimited protest because they all live right outside of this club.
It just Lewis says the N-word so often that I thought it had to be him.
Oh no, I'm definitely going. Definitely Dave.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've convinced me.
Especially when they're like, it's this one guy, and they know his following is insane now.
Yeah.
So they would get crushed.
Yeah, but the Gomites are a terrifying bunch. I wouldn't want to cross them either.
That's true. That's very
All
true.
right. Should we talk about a guy we haven't talked about in a while in Mr. Chris D'Elia?
Sure should.
My pal Vinny Paulino used to play a game with Stuttering John where he would say, drop the needle anywhere and John's going to be making a goofy face.
Yep.
Drop the needle on any podcast of Chris D'Elia's and this guy's going to be shitting on his wife somehow or another.
He's going to be really pissed that that's all he has left.
I haven't checked in on him in 3 months. And sure enough, I found him insulting his wife.
Yep. Women at the movies. That's our first clip here.
Listen, women be at the movies, baby. Just like they be shopping. Chris has a good bit about his dumb women watching movies.
Trying to watch a movie the other night. My wife, dude. What is it with
my wife? This bitch.
What is it with women like, hey, watch a movie with me instead of fucking 18-year-olds? What is it with these whores?
Right.
Say women, dude. How about this for generalization? Yeah, I know it's a generalization. I don't care. Okay. Dude, she talks during the dialogue parts.
Have you ever noticed this, folks? Why do women always yammer during the movies? I'm trying to Snapchat bitches.
He's trying to watch Oppenheimer, and he's explaining the science behind the bomb, and the wife's just crying like, I can't believe you talked to all those women behind my back. He's like, Jesus, shut up.
I'm texting high schoolers and this lady's yapping. Who are these people?
A 25-minute action sequence, and she's just like, as soon as that action sequence ends and the guy comes up out of the rubble, right? And sees the girl that he's been trying to get for so long. And all the bad
Was he
guys
scrolling through Instagram, Chris? I heard that's a good spot.
That's what he calls Instagram, is rubble.
He'll start crying and he'll walk up to her and he'll go, and Kristen will be like, should we put plants over next to the fireplace? And you're like, hey,
What a selfish cunt that has turned a blind eye to all of your misdeeds, but still has the audacity. Hey, listen, she didn't make a peep while America was calling you a pedophile. For some reason, she opens her trap while a movie's playing.
I can't believe she would do something like that.
Hey, Kristen, maybe you should talk more when girls are yelling, I was raped.
By this man that you share a last name with.
You know, actually, now that I think about it, Chris is making a good point. There are times she should have spoken up. like when one girl said, I was crying, and as he shoved his penis into my mouth, he said, just do everything I say and you'll be fine. Maybe that's when Kristen should talk, instead of when a movie is playing, God forbid.
Autobots were fighting. And I got to rewind. I said, what? We need to put our significant others either in the movie theater or, because God forbid, dude, I used to go out with this woman who had her dad.
Woman is an exaggeration.
I used to go watch the Harry Potter movies with some dates.
She just started getting her period, but she was not a woman, Chris.
And we would go see movies with her dad, and he breathed so loud, and I'd sit next to him, and I'm like, my God. It's just every
Wait,
movie.
hold on a second. Go back. Was perhaps her dad chaperoning? Did maybe legally her dad need to be there? Why was he there on this date?
He was their ride.
Listen, I know your dad's here. Just give me a hand job.
Just pretend like we're hugging.
Our significant others either in the movie theater Or because God forbid, dude, I used to go out with this woman who had her dad, and we would go see movies with her dad, and he breathed so loud, and I'd sit next to him, and I'm like, my God, it's just every movie. I thought it was Jurassic Park because it was always. I was like, oh, okay.
He was enraged that you were diddling his underage daughter.
I was just gonna say he's just human mad.
Motherfucker. I can't if I tell her she's not allowed to, then she'll rebel against me. Jesus Christ.
And T-Rex is in the background of this. We're watching a Hugh Grant movie. But yeah, dude. So that's when she talks. And it's so annoying. And women, stop doing this.
Oh, was he done?
Yep, that was a long pause.
I can never tell with him with the pauses.
I know. I know.
Now, listen, fellas, I get it. Don't think I'd be tripping with the ladies. They'd be annoying as hell. I get it.
Yeah.
But when you have a wife who has stood by you through thick and thin, through rape and pedophilia allegations, you would think that she would get some leeway. Like, hey, maybe every podcast, I don't have to shit on this broad.
It's nothing worse than bringing someone to the movies that still wears Garanimals and her dad's getting in your way.
Oh, it's just the worst. I thought he was going to be out buying popcorn for us longer.
He's big into the Dune popcorn bucket.
He's just breathing heavy like this motherfucker. Write a punchline, Chris. And maybe you'll be an acceptable suitor for my daughter. The voices aren't funny. You're just changing your inflection.
I like the idea that he's getting mad at the dad for breathing and he's just pissed at him.
He's like, Theo Vaughn made the right choice. Why can't I have the guts that he did?
Next we have him talking about addiction, and it's probably not the one we're thinking.
It never is it, with Chris? Here, this is the thing, is like, the clips we play of Chris D'Elia are never so absurd. Like, that criticism of women in general is not so crazy that it deserves to be made fun of. The crazy part is that a man who was accused of pedophilia and has never once addressed it. He said, hey, you got me. I cheated on my girlfriend.
I love getting my dick wet, is what he says.
Yeah. And then has had the woman who stood by him on the podcast to reprimand her. Then when a documentary came out about him, he fled to rehab to again try and rebuild his image and still never addressed it. That's what's so odd to me about this guy having this stance on women.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing better than that once a year when he has his wife on for the Christmas episode.
Yes, the Christmas show. Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
It's always fun.
Lunatic addict, man. I'm such a lunatic. I got Royal Match, played it so hard. It's an app on my phone.
You are certainly a lunatic. That is an insane man's laugh. You're in a room alone, Chris.
Tupac's right over his shoulder.
For like a month, hardcore. I was playing it. I was ignoring responsibilities. I was doing stuff like not listening. I was kind of watching movies, but mostly playing Royal Match. Dude, I'd turn on worse movies just so I could.
Wait, so he's watching a movie, he's bitching about her talking, but he's not even paying attention?
That's the other thing I found odd, is like, you were just mad that she was. So you were mad that she was spoiling your video game. You're a father of two, Chris. Come on, I want to play video games. Shut up, Kristen.
There's dialogue. Shut it.
If you keep talking over my video games, I'm gonna kill myself.
If we don't get this,
we know you're not. We read the Rolling Stone article. We know you're not gonna kill yourself.
He's like, we need you to stop talking so I don't have to pause. We have to get you home by 11 or your dad's gonna be pissed.
Match, and so I didn't have to pay attention to it. And I was killing it. I got to level 2,000 in 1 month. I probably made, honestly, $800 of in-app purchases. So sue me. Dude, I made so many in-app. Do you make in-app purchases for games? That's the worst thing you could do. Did it? Don't care. Did it? Have my money.
Rebel. What a bad boy.
You know, and then And then I just stopped. But you know what? I guess I enjoyed it, right? John Lennon was the guy that said the thing, you're not wasting any time if you're enjoying it, or whatever the hell he said. I can't remember what he said. But it was something like
Good thing
that.
you quoted
and
it.
You know what, dude? I always think of John Lennon when I start feeling shame or guilty about playing a video game. That's what I do.
Every time I'm perusing a middle school, I think of John Lennon. And I'm like, well, if you're not enjoying yourself.
I wish there was somebody that thought he was John Lennon.
That's when the FBI investigates Chris D'Elia, that's what he said. Hey, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. You know?
John Lennon is when I'm doing something like that, wasting time or playing video games, or if I eat too much ice cream. I go, man, John Lennon though, which is
or, you know, if I'm texting like 16-year-olds, I think, John Lennon. Imagine. Imagine no consent laws. It's easy if you try.
I'm not even gonna say it. That was perfect.
Dude, for real. I couldn't. It's always something, dude. It's always something. Is it always something for you? Because it's always something for me. It's Royal Match. You know, for 10 years, it was sex.
He says such a hard time saying
it was sex.
It's always something, man. It's video games. It's junk food. It's cigarettes. It's 15-year-olds. It's other stuff.
Dang Lizard, €5. Wait, his wife talked during dialogue of Transformers movie and he wanted to get the plot. Remember someone explained Romeo and Juliet law in Transformers.
That's a great sketch about like sexism, just to have like if you had just had two different cutaways where one Kristen isn't saying anything while the world is calling Chris D'Elia a pedophile. And then she pipes up during a movie is like, yo, should we move the plants over there? You bitch. I'm watching something.
Carl's
Anyways, back to Snapchat.
Carl's Frosted Tips $5. Mike, I'm trying to concentrate at camp while watching this, and frankly, I did not see this coming.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to bother you.
I think that was a concentration camp joke.
Yes. I don't remember what we were talking about that would have applied, but
Me either.
Out, then
But
it
I
was
like-
Royal.
Thanks for the money.
I like a little Holocaust humor. We need more of that.
Yes, we do.
Match for a month, and then after that, it's eating burgers late at night.
Sure. These are all equivalent things. Playing Royal Match on your phone, eating burgers, diddling 16-year-olds, whatever your vice is. Hey, as the great Brian Cox once said on Hard Knocks, you can't trust a man without a vice.
He's just. I think he dates them young. They take him out for dinner. It's just a happy meal. That's what he means.
All the vices he's listing are like children's activity: eating burgers, playing video games, getting hand jobs under the bleachers. You know,
putting money into an app without your parents' permission.
Yes, dude. He eats not one because we know one burger's a snack, so he eats two, but not only two, they're both double burgers, so technically that's 4 burgers. Yes, dude.
Yeah, by the way, hold on. Just go back a little bit.
He is the most annoying human that's ever existed.
We've lost track. This is no longer relevant to the conversation we're having about Chris D'Elia, but I had to sit through this, so I'm making all of you. So,
Yeah, these clips aren't short.
so buckle up.
Match for a month, and then after that, it's eating burgers late at night. Yes, always feel like shit. Yes, dude. He eats not one because we know one burger's a snack, so he eats two, but not only two, they're both double burgers, so technically that's 4 burgers. Yes, dude. And he eats the fries too. Yes, and then he tops it off with some ice cream afterwards. Yes, dude. Why is he not a fat guy? You know, he works hard at the gym a lot, but why is he not a fat guy? Genetics. Thanks, mom and dad. Hey, yes.
Oh my God.
He's and maybe he purposely framed his act this way. He is the perfect comedians for kids. Like, think about, you have kids, Craig, in every sense of the phrase.
His voice is the equivalent of jiggling keys in front of an infant.
Yes, that's exactly it. Where if you watch kids programming, like take the Baby Shark song, for example.
Oh my God.
Or whatever, it's just repetition and different cadences, different inflections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what it takes to abduct a child, you know? And I think Chris has learned that. I'm not saying he's not skilled at what he loves.
Yeah.
Don't misquote me on that.
This is our last Dalia clip. It's just called Wife Got Robbed.
Yeah. So his wife, listen to how this man, and again, maybe it's a character and he's a different guy at home, but I just use the context of his wife's public support versus how this man portrays his wife. So his wife's cell phone was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how Chris responds on the podcast.
Now she's like, oh, you know, why don't you make me feel okay? And I'm like, oh, shit. And then she's like, it's not my fault that it got robbed. And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean,
that's insane.
I guess.
What, Craig? I think sometimes when women say things, it is kind of their fault.
she got robbed at gunpoint, and he's like, "What is your fault?"
I think often when women are the victim, I think there's some interesting messaging here going on with Chris. Where a woman is clearly a victim of a crime, you know, but is she? I think that's very interesting psychologically. Chris's take on robbery here.
Believe no women. He's like, if you're not robbing youth, you're not being robbed.
Women are liars, no matter what it's about.
And now she's like, oh, you know, you know, why don't you make me feel okay? And I'm like, oh, shit. And then she's like, it's not my fault that it got robbed. And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, I guess, you know. Fellas know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
Yeah. What was she wearing?
Exactly.
You know, was she responding to your text? Did she seem kind of like she wanted it, and then at the last minute seemed like she didn't? But that's still kind of consent. Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about phones. I forgot.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, but also, it's kind of, you know, my bag never got taken. You know.
No, I was never molested.
The amount of times when my wife says, "Where's my phone?" versus the amount of times I've said, "Where's my phone?" She blows me out of the water.
Well, it sounds like women are kind of asking.
It's like, you know, it's not the crook's fault, but
she asked for it.
It seems like those girls were texting me first. A couple of them said they were 18, so I don't understand.
This is.
I told them I was with my family, and they didn't seem to mind at the time. So
this is a very thrilling podcast.
It's yeah, like it's tough doing a podcast by yourself, and but Chris D'Elia overcomes somehow.
Also, be vigilant. You know, hey, so it's like, it's just
like how she's like, I got robbed. They stole my bag. My phone was in. He's like, great. Now I got to buy you a new phone.
Oh, you bitch. Were you wearing a low-cut top when your phone was robbed? Did you act like you were a really big fan of the robber and go back to his hotel room? And think that pretty much is consent. What am I going to ask for an ID from the robber?
It'd be so funny is if she came and started crying and saying shit that he did to those women, but the robber did to her. You said if I didn't suck his dick, he was going to kill himself.
And Chris is like, it seems like a pretty good guy. Actually, seems like a pretty funny comedian. I'm going to be in Sarasota and March 8th. Just promoting his dates.
Yeah.
So good. See, Chris D'Elia learns every day. You know, I think every day he shows us all his growth. He said he was a completely changed man when he came back, and I think every time we've checked in on him, we've learned that that's true. Definitely a guy mid-evolution.
More self-reflection with every time we look.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, doesn't blame others for his problems.
Oh.
Speaking of people we haven't checked in on in a while, the great Tom Myers. Tom Myers was on a show called Mere Musk. I think I'm getting that right. I don't know if that's the guy's name. I'm not familiar. But I am familiar with them in the sense that they had Stuttering John on a while back. And one of the guys started fucking with John at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for that with Tom. That's why I was like, oh, they're going to eventually ask him about Nick Mullen or WATP, or we're going to get some juice out of this. But I don't know. They mentioned Ray DeVito a lot. There seemed to be some rivalry between Tom and Ray that I don't care to learn any more about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. They never, the other shoe never dropped, but they did get some good nuggets out of Tom, I thought. High-minded Tom is definitely my favorite Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's reflecting on his career. But I'll say what I learned through most of this podcast and what I learned through seeing him in Havre de Grace is, like, if Tom could drop the notion that he's a funny guy, because not everyone's funny.
Right.
You don't have to be funny to exist on this planet.
Right.
If Tom could just say, I'm a guy that's not funny, I think he's a pretty regular dude. He seems polite. He's affable enough. I think he'd be an okay guy if he could just get out of his head that he's funny. If he could just erase that from his mindset. Because most of this is him being, like, perfectly pleasant, certainly not funny at all. But then when he talks about his, like, comedy career, he does the self-deprecating thing that all these guys do. That's the thing about, the people that are covered on the internet like this. Opie in particular. They can all give surface-level self-deprecation.
Right.
Like Opie can say, hey, listen, with Jim and Anthony, like, I have my own share of problems, but those guys did this and this. That's just surface-level bullshit that you say to absolve yourself of any sin,
Right.
That's like what Tom does, where he's like, listen, I'm not the best comedian on the planet. But then listen to how he talks about his career. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
but I forget where we're starting.
Stress relief.
Oh, well, listen, the grind that Tom goes through day to day, you got to find a way to center yourself. When you have a hustle and bustle career like Tom's, you got to find some points in the day that, you can get a little relief.
Whoa, where you perform? Because when Ray was on, he was mentioned he performs at the Stand, and he says you perform over there too, right?
Whenever I'm in town, yeah.
Okay.
I don't. I only get up there. Like I said, I'm in Baltimore. I only get up there a couple times a year. In fact, I've been so swamped with stuff here with the podcast, and I have a side gig. I do public address announcing for youth baseball games. So which is great. It's a great release if you want to, if you're so immersed in comedy and podcasting that you
Hold on 1 second. Tom said he hasn't been doing as much stand-up because he's focused on the podcast. His podcast is once a week, 29 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He's immersed in it.
After Tom said that about the baseball thing, he looks like Chris D'Elia X.
Well, Tom, you got to unwind. After you do 29 minutes of work a week, you got to unwind somehow. And what better way than catching an Aberdeen Ironbirds game? But listen to the way he talks about it. He talks about it the way, we just did an episode on Woody Allen. The way Woody Allen looks at his clarinet playing. That's Tom's creative outlet with the Aberdeen Ironbirds, minor league baseball.
And podcasting that you want to get away from it. And it's like
normal.
When can I get away from comedy? God damn it. Like I sit and I get to watch baseball. I get to announce names. I get to play music in between innings, the music I want. I get to watch sports and talk into a microphone and get paid for it. So
you're living the dream then.
He's talking about it like he's Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
He's like, listen, I just get to be paid for talking sports, what I love doing. No, you're now batting. And then you get the fuck out of there.
Right. Next we got his writing process,
Listen, as we learned, it's a stressful week. And I joked, I said 29 minutes of work. But if you've heard Tom's monologues, there's so much more that goes into that. So this is Tom's writing style, and it does have to be exhausting.
And I know you're getting in the swing of things with the PA announcing, but have you been doing any touring as of late?
I have not. Like I said, the podcast keeps me busy, and I enjoy doing it. So my writing muscles have been getting a good exercise. I've been getting a good workout because I try and write on average.
Ooh, sorry. I'm a little sore. I've been listening to Tom Myers jokes all week. Even listening to them, you think, how could these be written like that? It is a good point where you do think, like, this is hurting my bones to listen to. So I can only imagine the excruciating process that it takes to write them. This is like, I've heard this because we did like an episode about Tom and everything. Like, I try much like the comedy club owners we talked about earlier. I try to do my research, and I spoke to coal miners that were like, listen, I'm no hero. Like, I have an exhausting day, but I'm not writing things like bong hit transplant.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, they do have that thought process. So it's good. Just game recognizing game, I suppose.
JFK Head Chunk said he has a 200-pound pen.
That's a great name.
3 jokes a day for a particular week. So I try and set myself a goal for that.
Right.
And if I can find one, it's easier for me to write jokes for the podcast than it is for the stage, because stage audiences, they're a lot more, like the live shows, they're a lot more demanding than someone who sits down and listens to a podcast, obviously.
Right.
So, you know, I do that. I get some workout stuff there. But that doesn't mean to say that I haven't been doing comedy at all. I've been getting a good comedy workout on some virtual or hybrid shows, rather, run by.
Oh, man. Can someone put together the Rocky montage of Tom preparing his jokes? Drinking raw eggs and running upstairs.
Having the worst Zoom shows of all time.
Oh, yeah. No, he gets to that. Don't worry.
Comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. He was the original winner of.
Go back a little bit. Go back. You want to hear about a workout? The Mick to Tom Myers Rocky. You gotta keep them silent, Tom. You want to keep them puzzled. They're never gonna know what hit them.
Run by comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. At all. I've been getting a good comedy workout on some virtual or hybrid shows, rather, run by comic out of Los Angeles named Dat Fan. He was the original winner of Last Comic Standing.
We know.
Like,
it's the only thing he's ever done. We got it.
He's never talked about it.
Why? And I do it sometimes. Is it like, this is where we might be in a simulation, because for some reason, if the name Dat Fan is ever uttered, in order to get anything other than blank stares from people, you have to say Last Comic Standing Season 1 winner.
And even then,
or like the Earth doesn't keep moving. Something happens if you don't say that.
I was gonna say, even then though, the stares are still pretty blank.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch NBC for that 1 hour in the summer 20 years ago.
I was outside playing tag with my friends.
Comedy coaching, in addition to doing like movies and TV shows, he set up a hybrid Zoom show, which Zoom comedy took a lot of shit just because.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hybrid between Zoom and what?
I thought he was going to continue explaining that.
It's a hybrid, like a hybrid vehicle is gas and electric, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's combining two things.
That's right.
This is combining comedy with, Guantanamo Bay style torture, perhaps. Maybe that's what he means in terms of a hybrid, a Zoom hybrid.
Right.
Nature of things like, but if a Zoom show is run well, then the show works, and it's an excellent gauge of how one's jokes work. With most Zoom shows, I see it where, like, once the comic's done performing, they'll shut their camera off and just go away and make dinner or something. And if
it's not a pure art form to them, man.
That's a hybrid. It's a Zoom show and dinner.
It's a Zoom show and just a guy's life. You know, most of these horrible Zoom shows that I'm in, you see a guy flip on a baseball game.
Isn't that hybrid lady that sings the Justin likes on those a lot?
Christine Knowlton.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's made it onto Dat Fans shows or not. Possibly though.
They'll rush over the computer like, oh, but with Dat Fans Zoom shows, they're not like that. Everybody,
yeah, man, he has the pure. He's not like these phonies that are trying to make a buck in Hollywood off the lucrative comedy Zoom show. It's not just guys that are afraid to go out and do actual stand-up because they've been made a mockery of. It's definitely not that.
On, like they keep them steady, like no walking around with your phone, stuff like that.
Right.
Sick. And as a result, the shows work. And excuse me, the shows that I've been doing, oddly enough, since COVID, I've had a lot more confidence in them just because I have
people aren't falling asleep.
They don't have to leave their house to join.
Yeah. Now there's no audience for a reason I can wrap my mind around. I don't have to choke myself with a belt when I get home. And tell myself that no one showed up. With these Zoom shows, I can just pretend people were watching me, you know?
Here we have him talking about the trolls.
Well, Tom has dealt with that a lot. But as we're going to learn, like, there's pros and cons to that. So Tom has a good perspective on the trolls. Maybe Joe Matarese should learn.
Like in the context of what you were talking about, sorry, I go off on these tangents.
No, do your thing, buddy.
Tangents. He goes off on a tangent about a Zoom comedy show.
I kind of liked, like I said, I wish these interviewers were like fucked with Tom a little more, but I kind of like that they were just pumping his tires. They were like, "Nah, you're great, man."
Like he seems to think that you were talking about how like a lot of people were trolling him.
Yeah, he thought we were trolling him too
in the Dabbleverse and all. But
whoa,
and everybody,
yeah, Tom's entering the Dabbleverse, baby.
That's danger. That's good for Stuttering John.
Interesting. No, because I think even Tom is more self-aware than John.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so. Guys, throw it in the comments. What do you think? John or Tom? Who's more self-aware?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
I think it's Tom.
Maybe. I mean, I guess he did say like the Zoom shows were shit on, so I guess he was aware.
Tom will never list his credits. Tom is not delusional enough to think like the Pro Football Arm Wrestling Championship is something you should constantly talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I come up with that opinion.
Good you are. Right, Bill Burr has got trolls like Lenny Bruce.
Okay, maybe you know what? All right, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
I forgot how this clip turns. Hold on, go back. I want to fully assess if I was correct or not. If you could rewind a few seconds.
I'm feeling great about my decision right now.
Yeah, maybe I was a little crazy.
Everybody's got that. It doesn't matter how good you are. Right, Bill Burr has got trolls. Like Lenny Bruce had trolls, except his trolls were called the New York City Police Department, the Chicago Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department.
This joke would have been fine if he left it at New York City Police Department.
We got it. You understand what police are. He traveled.
System, but lost my thought. But I get them as well.
Right.
And
yeah,
I'm well aware.
There's three guys: Lenny Bruce, Bill Burr, Tom Myers. Three comedians that get trolled, and there's no difference between the three of them.
They just tell wars. They tell war stories at the table at the Comedy Cellar.
People that would criticize Lenny Bruce and Bill Burr are saying the exact same things. I mean, everyone has their version of a bong hit transplant joke, you know?
Right.
You know how there's AI versions of Bill Burr's you knock her into the cupboard drawers domestic violence joke? Everyone, thousands of people on the internet have made a mockery of that.
Right.
It's not just that the people hate successful people online, but also Tom Myers is insane. You know what, Craig? This might be a good fight between you and me with the delusional.
Tom sees the Philly rant and he goes, "Man, I get it."
Yeah,
I bet
it's just like Havard to Grace. You know what? That's a great example. Here's the difference between Tom's trolls and Bill Burr's trolls. Bill Burr's trolls were people that hadn't seen his comedy yet and are booing him. We've seen Tom's comedy and ironically went, "Yay, Tom! Keep doing this."
We're gonna drive 8 hours to see it.
Yeah.
But the trolls become fans, Mike. We're about to find out.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, but this is what confused me a little bit. Not confused, but made me think perhaps he was a little more open-minded than John, because all Tom's fans had to come from somewhere. We forget that.
I will say this, like I will admit, I do have trolls.
Brave.
Glad you admit that.
I'm not above them.
You know what? Hand up. As many people that love me, there are a few that think I'm ridiculous.
People have actually wished death upon me online. I feel safe sharing that now.
Troll that I have, there's probably a bunch of people who comment or who follow me who actually like what I do. I mean, I legit hope that for Ray's sake that he has a similar type of thing as well, where he has people who.
Oh boy, this is where Tom, Ray, at the very least, is as legitimate a comedian as you. This is where Tom gets into trouble when he gets in wars with people. Remember what he said about Nick Mullen?
Yep.
And that's that, like, he would call Nick Mullen an opener. He's like, "Oh, well, call me when that guy has as many credits as I do." It's like Nick Mullen was on one of the most successful podcasts ever. They make a killing off that, and now has like a great comedy special out. He plays theaters. Like I saw him at the Wilbur Theater here in Boston. Nick's doing quite well for himself, but this is where Tom gets delusional and thinks like, "Hey, listen, my haters can say what they want, but I'm above all of them,"
Legitimately enjoys seeing him for his comedy. I wish no ill will towards him on that. It's just like what he said triggered me. But I often found that when people listen to certain podcasts, when they shit on me or talk bad about me,
who would do that?
They'll come and see me, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, he's not so bad. Not my favorite.
Yes.
I'm not asking to be your favorite."
Well, he's kind of right there because it was that fan that was the fucking problem that day, not him.
Sure, but I didn't walk out of there going, "You know what, guys? Tom's really good at comedy."
He's right though. The trolls did go see him.
We did go see him. I don't think anyone walked out of there being like, "Tom fucking slayed." I hope they've got a mop to wipe up the blood because Tom just murdered up there. But no, like, yeah, we did think like, "Oh, Tom seems like when we talked to him after the show, we're like, hey, maybe Tom's a nicer guy than we realized." Then in interactions after that, we realized, well, maybe we were wrong. But people come away saying like, "Hey, Tom's not an evil man," sure, but no one walks away saying like, "That guy was a hoot."
Good news, by the way. The Bo Burnham episode is now unblocked.
Woo! You hear that, YouTube?
We can't make money off. Can't make money off it, but it's unblocked.
Yeah, well, whatever. Does that mean? Do you think? Will it get fucked? Like, will people guys? I don't know how the algorithm works, but seek out Bo Burnham's Inside that we did on Why You Laughing. It'll be up on Wednesday. It's up now for members, but go check it out if you want.
I know I'm not, the greatest comedian in the world. I've never. This is what Ray says in his bio. He says he's edgy. I never called myself edgy.
Tom, we've heard it a million. Yes, you do.
constantly, actually.
Tom, you constantly refer to yourself as edgy, and you're like, when you do the type of this is what Tom said to me in Havre de Grace.
Yeah.
I said, Tom, do you ever get worried when you play an audience that isn't yours that people are going to get offended? And he's like, when you do the kind of edgy material that I do, you got to learn to get over that. Someone's going to be offended somewhere.
I've always tried to just say, hey, come out and see me. You might have a good time. If you don't, tell someone you hate about me or something. If you want to torture them,
right? Tell someone you hate about me.
Yeah, well, I had a great time. I can't deny that.
Right.
That's where I can't sue the man for slander. We had a terrific time.
Never been more jealous of missing something in my life.
Yeah. Now it turned very ugly thanks to Dat Fan and his hijinks. But...
That's why I wish I was there.
Yeah, well,
I start yelling at him.
You missed out.
Next we have, who is this about?
Oh, yeah. This was very odd. This is not like obviously he's talking about so-and-so. Maybe this analogy goes over my head, but Tom is doing something where he's clearly talking shit about someone. I can't figure out who he means. But he's talking about someone that he was very helpful to that is now more success, has gone on to fame and fortune.
Like guys like this comic who I won't name, Robbie Goodwin, Louis J. Gomez, I'm forever in their debt as a result of that.
I just realized I did not do this on purpose. I was Louis J. Gomez involved in every subject we talked about today.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's very weird. I don't know. I didn't do that on purpose, but
Tom, I actually had a question. He's referring to when he went on Real Ass Podcast, right?
Yeah, and he's also said he's reached out to Louis about stuff as far as like editing, and Louis was like actually responded and gave him a real response. What are you laughing at?
Tiger Lily with the funniest comment. He said he's clearly talking about Mike Bruschetti. That's very funny.
You know what? We'll hear it, but now it's in my head. You're right. Talking about Mike Bruschetti.
I'm forever in their debt as a result of that. I'm always going to be grateful to them for that. Just like I'm grateful to Ray for he got me John Fugelsang's contact information. And
whoa, that's big. That's big. You got Fugelsang?
That's pretty big.
That's massive. Here's a fun John Fugelsang story. I guess he was a real dick to the bonfire when Big J and Dan, I guess, shared a studio with him at Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an asshole to them. And then, so they started doing a bit. I guess he was specifically an asshole to Jay, but knew who Soder was. And he would go, hey, Dan, how's it going? It was like nice to Soder.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do a bit on the bonfire where it's like, Fugelsang would come in and go, hey, fat tits, nice gloves, you retard. And then be like, hey, Dan, buddy, what's going on? Great special. And so they would do that bit, and John Fugelsang complained to management and said they weren't allowed to talk about him anymore.
Oh, good.
So that's the kind of person anyways, that's my John Fugelsang rant, but let's go back to Tom.
Let's say if a hypothetical comic who goes on a hypothetical, like-minded, left-wing hypothetical podcast somehow blows up and becomes a very hypothetically famous hypothetical comedian,
right.
Then the hypothetical comic who helped out the hypothetical now successful comic is always in said hypothetical comic's debt.
Jesus.
Oh, he said you cut it off. He says another hypothetically after that. And it's like, we got it. But Tom's saying that he helped someone who went on to like massive success.
Dave
Am I wrong? Isn't that what he's saying?
Is he talking about Dave Smith? That'd be hilarious.
My thought was like Stavros, but Stavros never did his podcast.
And I doubt he's a left-wing psycho.
Oh, Stavros is very left-wing.
Psycho, though?
No, but he's definitely like he's a Bernie guy and all that.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it, but that's fine.
Guys, sound off in the comments, as we like to say here.
You'll get that joke once you watch the Bo Burnham episode.
Fellas, sound off in the comments. who the fuck is he talking about? Because I was very intrigued by that. Where Tom's saying that someone on his podcast is Jeff Heisen now a star that I'm not aware of. It's very interesting. Death Man,
a left wing
G.D. Fenderson
comic. He probably does mean Stavros.
Is he saying that he? But basically, Tom, he put the word hypothetically in there so often. I don't blame if you couldn't follow it. But he's saying that he had someone on his podcast that is now very successful, and that person should be indebted to him, and evidently isn't. So I'm intrigued by who that is. I don't know. Let me know if you guys know.
Carl's Frosted Tips, $2. Happy Gary Plausch Day.
I don't know Gary Plausch.
Me either.
It is St. Patrick's Day, isn't it?
Yes.
Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone.
We probably should open with that. See our green background? That's why it's green.
Oh, that's cool.
Chef Lewis, $5. So much Gomez talk. Had a great set this week.
Oh, he's in Providence this weekend.
Oh, he had a great set this week. He wrote We Kendra Comedy Connection. I think he meant to say weekend. Autocorrect. That tripped me up, guys. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chef Lewis. I was going to go with the boys, but we couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have no clue who we'd be talking about.
Neither do I. Yeah, let me know if you guys know. The only reason it wasn't the best clip to end with, but I was just like, who the fuck is he talking about? Who is he? Who has Tom handed a career to? It reminded me of like when Stuttering John talks about the Midas Touch brothers and thinks he made them.
Gary Plausch was the father of a kidnapped boy who killed the son's kidnapper. Is that the one that pretended to be on the phone from like the 80s or something? If that's true, that guy rules.
Why does he rule?
Because he killed the guy who, like, I think it was more than a kidnapping, but
Killed what guy?
the guy who, I think it was a molestation, and the father
Killed the kid?
No, he killed the guy who did it to his kid.
Oh, I thought Craig was applauding. He got rid of any evidence. And a boy.
He got rid
That's
of
the
the
way
evidence.
that you do it. You get rid of these yappy kids before they can open their trap.
Yeah, DJ Electra says it was that one. So actually, that guy rules. Next clip is Numbers Man.
I forgot. We're not ending with Tom Myers. I forgot there's. This is great. Tom's not a slave to the numbers, and I think that's important when you get into the line of work that Tom is.
I really don't see any correlation. Some weeks we have great listens, some weeks we don't. I've tried to look at like what the topic was that particular week. Like if there's a particular guest that we have on or a particular panelist I have, because I have a lot of regular panelists. If there's a panelist that people like or don't like, I mean, I've always just tried to write stuff. I have a format for I have a format for the podcast. I follow it pretty stringently. So I mainly focus on that, not focus so much on, the ratings and everything, because then I become like a corporate minded guy and I lose my
edge.
I lose my
say it.
creativity.
Okay.
And I don't like to get all bogged down in that kind of stuff.
Right.
I could have 2 million listeners next week and I still wouldn't give a shit. I'm like, okay, this next episode. Yeah, I gotta. So it's like I'm trying to.
Well,
I'm just trying to, do a show and just do a show and live, man.
Do some of your passion.
Yeah, the problem is, Tom, you have 35 listeners, not 2 million.
If I got 2 million, I wouldn't care. Shut up.
Here's the issue: is Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. He's like, listen, man, I'm not going to change it for some corporation. Yeah, but how about to get people to listen to it? Would you change it then? Like if a tree falls in the forest, Tom, I suppose is the question.
Mike, I got a question. If I come to you in like a few days, I'm like, this episode got 2 million downloads.
Yeah. Well, I would actually go the other way. Hey, this week's episode got 2 views. I would say, well, you know what? Maybe we should do something different.
Something's not working at all.
Something is amiss here. Yeah. But if I'm not mistaken, Tom's podcast is on all platforms, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good because we're on YouTube right now.
Yep.
It's kind of silly of us. It's dumb of us to do that because no one really gets their podcast on YouTube. You should, leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, which I know is how you guys are listening.
Should I check what the numbers of that Cat Williams Shannon Sharp interview are at?
It was 50 million last I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no reason I'm mentioning this. Let's just hear Tom's another great business strategy by Tom.
I do the editing.
We can tell.
decompress on Wednesday.
Oh, hold on. I
Right.
forgot.
Editing.
This clip goes somewhere else, but I just wanted to leave that part in because he's talking about it. He's like, listen, I do a 29-minute show on Tuesday. I edit it that night. Then, of course, I probably don't even need to say this, I decompress on Wednesday. I think, oh, God. All that writing saying Trump is guilty took so much out of me.
Just for the record, the Shannon Sharp Cat Williams episode is at 62 million.
On what? Tubi?
Yes.
What is that on?
You got more than the Oscars got.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm sorry. Tom is saying, like, listen, Wednesday is my day. Like, a man can only craft so many jokes about what a fool Mitch McConnell is without taking a break. So he decompresses on Wednesday. All right.
I decompress on Wednesday, just from doing editing and whatnot, and it drops on my Patreon Thursday morning at midnight.
Which is very funny for I do a political show, you know?
Sure.
And there's nothing like recording something and then releasing it 2 days later because nothing changes in that 2 days.
Yes, that's very important. It's critical to make sure it's delayed so that everyone's like, yeah, no, I know. I've actually heard a better version of that joke on fucking Twitter 40 times.
Just for the for a certain level of subscriber, it's like they get them, and then for a few hours later it goes up for everybody else.
A few hours.
That's very funny. Like that'd be like Why Are You Laughing gets posted and 3 hours later it's free.
Yeah,
I know
we
happened this week, but
for patrons we post Why Are You Laughing at 11:58 Wednesday night, and then it goes up on all platforms at midnight. A couple hours. If you're a patron, you better be on guard, like waiting for Tom Myers to drop for it to be worth it to you to subscribe.
Wherever you get your podcasts, and it's integrated with my YouTube channel as well, so you get a YouTube version of which it's a very small segment of the listens, because hardly anybody listens to podcasts on YouTube. They'll go to
no, definitely not. Do me a favor, Craig, pull up Powerful JRE. It's a small channel, but I just want to check something real quick.
All right, so let's see.
It's a young up-and-comer named Joe Rogan.
Oh, got it.
Go to his last episode if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, from 1 day ago.
Yeah.
How many views does it have? Is that what you're curious?
I suppose. Yeah, it's only been a day, and no one really listens to podcasts on YouTube. So it's what, 15, 20 views?
It's 1.3 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No. Not on Apple.
Correct. Which is, by the way, the #1 show on Apple.
I'm saying on YouTube.
Yep. He had Cat Williams on 2 weeks ago.
Okay, fine.
That's at 14 million. So it's getting 1 million views a day.
No one listens to podcasts on YouTube. It's made. I mean, I can list the people: fucking Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Shane Gillis, Tim Dillon. It's made careers, Tom.
That right.
No one watches. It's the way to consume podcasts now. People don't even say, "Leave me a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify," because it's almost useless at this point. It's all going to YouTube. Right. That's what I. Sorry, Tom. That's what I love about Tom. Is his version of delusion is like, oh, no one watches my podcast on YouTube. Now, no one listens to it either, but people can see the views on YouTube. So what I'll trick everyone. Everyone will believe me if I say, but no, who really uses YouTube? Then what is that even?
What is YouTube?
I've never heard of it.
No.
Owned by Google? That's a small company.
Yeah.
Google buys a lot of things that nobody uses.
Right. I've never used it.
No.
That was actually the end of the clip. I thought there was more.
Yeah, no. So no one uses YouTube. But guys, thanks for super chatting and watching and subscribing on YouTube. Leave a like and a comment, and subscribe and tap the notification bell. Be the first people to ever watch a podcast on YouTube.
Right, we're gonna start a new trend.
Yes, we're the first YouTube show.
That's right.
I know we're running late here, but do you have time for just a little? Could you give the people a little taste of Stuttering John with me?
Yeah, it's gonna be chum in the water for that guy Hackride doesn't like.
That guy, what are we talking about?
We talked about at the beginning. I already forget. Win by 2.
No, but I don't get the reference. What do you mean?
His big criticism was, or like an intro for his show was, this show saying we don't talk about Stuttering John, and then just a bunch of times of us talking about him.
Oh! See, but that's something worth criticizing. We did say we weren't going to do that, and now we do. So
Well,
it's completely fair to criticize that.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. This one I have not seen nor heard, but Hackride was like, "You got to play this."
Oh,
This is from the end of his show the other day, I guess. John was watching One Too Many, which is interesting to me. Did he get to the part? We have a couple drops of One Too Many.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if he got to those.
Let me make sure I still have these. Oh, here.
Shut up, you faggot.
Well, I like the other one more, actually.
You fucking cocksucker, bone-smoking, faggot, homo piece of shit.
He watched that on his channel?
No, he watched someone do a review of that movie.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes a little more sense. So let's see. I have not seen this clip yet, but let's hear what we got from Stuttering John the other day.
Oh, geez, it's a solid 1 for everything else to being terrible about it, though. If you like this review, watch another one. YouTube really likes that. You can also like, comment,
I gotta
subscribe,
make
share
another
this video
movie.
with everyone you
This
know.
is
The
hard.
ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer. So if I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't
Holy
even seen
fuck.
it at all. If you'd like to
That's a
request
lot of
me in the
words.
comments below, you can do that. You can fast track a movie review.
Well, then
request
don't
me
come in with a
such as PS
tainted-
Presents for $20.
You can't be a good
Movie
movie
review
reviewer.
for $1, $3 a month to have to drop a
John can pause this, and he's like, "Why won't this bitch shut up?"
I can't get a word in edgewise with this bitch. Will you shut up? He's arguing, but he can't find a place to insert himself in the conversation. Yeah, but 1 second, if you'll just
His mouse is hovering over the pause thing, and he
you
won't.
can just press pause.
John, the space bar also pauses the video, just so you know.
So I guess I assume this lady was critical of One Too Many. I can't imagine how. If you watch the movie, it's great.
Or if you watch us watch the movie,
Yeah.
maybe relate.
tutorials, all at patreon.com/.
You're gonna come in with a tainted opinion already.
You can go to this link tree to find. Oh, geez. I hope no one thinks I'm as bad as Stuttering John, because Stuttering John is terrible. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. If this is a product of Stuttering John, I don't want this to.
Oh, so this lady, whoever's watching this, reviewing this movie, doesn't even know who Stuttering John is. She's just like, boy, this was rough.
Yes.
That's great.
I gotta give John credit. I think he's more entertaining than this lady.
Well, she's a lot. There were a lot of words packed in there, but I do agree with her opinion on movies. It seems.
Yeah, I agree with her review of One Too Many. John, what do you have to say to this lady?
You fucking cocksucker, bone-smoking, faggot, homo piece of shit.
That's a bit rough.
How did 2 of his kids turn out gay? It's weird.
It's true.
Equivalent to this, because this is trash. I want to be.
I gotta
better
have
than
her on my
Stuttering John.
show.
I strive to be better.
Shut
than
up,
Stuttering
you
John,
faggot.
even though I never knew who he was before a couple of years ago. I strive to be better than him. He's my entire life goal is not to be him. Do not feel like Stuttering John. This is a terrible movie. Never watch.
How long is this clip? What are we leading towards here?
This is 3 minutes and 42 seconds long.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Okay, then we're not going to get through all of it.
We're 1:05 in.
Is it leading somewhere?
I have no idea. I haven't seen it yet. I downloaded this right as
I thought it was like 30 seconds. I didn't realize he gave me a 3.5 minute clip, and you were just like, "Yeah, just play it."
I love
And that's actually, I'm making fun of Hackride. It's my fault. I should have watched it.
It's over now.
I love you. I want you to be a guest on my show. Who is this girl? What's her name?
I don't know, John. You pulled up the video.
I booked her.
What does she taste like?
I gotta get her on. I gotta get her on my.
I thought that was you saying I got to get her on. That's pretty funny.
I'm gonna hit on her, and then get really mad when she doesn't reciprocate.
I'm gonna suck her toes.
I'm gonna jerk off to you later.
There's nothing bad about saying that.
Show. Someone tell me how to get this girl on my show.
You email her.
Oh, that was awesome. That's the best review ever. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Holy shit.
Defensive John is always fun.
I loved it.
I need Hackride to explain this.
Fucking
Why are
hell.
we watching this?
That was fucking awesome.
We have such a good Stuttering John clip to get to, too. Does this lead somewhere, Hackride?
We have less than 2 minutes left. So
That's an eternity.
I know, but I almost feel like it's going somewhere.
All right.
It has to, right?
Okay.
Oh my Lord.
I guess you're just gonna have to find out.
Oh God. All right.
Okay. Hold on. I want to show you. Come on. You don't even like the blooper reel?
Okay, so now to refute this woman's claims, John starts playing his movie.
Oh, Hackride says that it's all about him showing his ass literally.
Okay, all right, so we'll get there. I do want to see John's reaction to that because when panicked, John doesn't face adversity well.
Now, if you go onto patreon.com/blindmike and type in 1 too many, you can watch that whole movie, including seeing his ass.
Yeah, you have to go a ways back. We did it on Thanksgiving a couple years ago, but check it out.
Come on. How about the blooper reel? Hey, here's me with my wife.
Oh, this is good. So John doesn't realize what's in this clip.
Here we go. Here we go.
Think about it. I just forgot my lines.
Excuse me, asshole. I mean, stir. I mean, sir. I meant sir. I didn't mean stir.
Come on, let me in.
Oh,
I was kidding. I was just kidding.
Oh, geez. I don't think I can pay Forgot about that.
John can't get a win over anybody.
No, not even himself.
I don't know if you can.
He's trying to celebrate his own movie.
If I remember right, he's wearing like a Speedo.
I don't know. I thought if you show like ass crack, I don't think you're allowed to on YouTube. But well, anyways, that's fun. But the clip I wanted to get to was that people have asked for more Ojeda talk.
That's right.
And I think we got a little vintage Ojeda here. We got some classic Richard, courtesy of Vince the Lawyer. Now, I gotta say, I don't particularly like Vince the Lawyer. He seems like kind of an asshole. But to each their own. He likes trolling people. And sometimes it works like this. Because we heard a couple weeks ago, this is the part John forgets. Like, John always forgets the hard stances he takes when it, doesn't apply to him.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince the Lawyer brings up something. Remember we played John. John was asking Richard Ojeda, like, hey, if I say I want to shag your wife, you understand that's a compliment. And Richard was like, no, not really. And John's like, what if I said your wife was really hot? And I just wanted to, feel her tits or something. And Richard's like, yeah, no, I mean, if someone were to do that, I would beat the shit out of them. So please don't do that. Now, John, under John's understanding, this was like a compliment, saying that he wanted to fuck Richard's wife.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince the Lawyer proves that theory, or puts that theory to the test, I should say. And watch John's reaction also. Now, we get a vintage Ojeda here, but John's reaction is also great.
Jenny the Lawyer, thanks to $2. Raise hand if you would do Kelly and Bismer. Who is that?
Hey, let me tell you something, Jenny. Let me tell you something.
I don't even know who that is.
You're a cowardly motherfucker.
Is that his wife's name?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's my wife.
That's your wife?
Yeah. It's her maiden name is that. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you that if you and me were face to face, you would never say anything like that to my fucking face because I'd stomp your fucking ass.
There you go, Richard.
First of all, I'm sorry, Army Major. If I would have known, I wouldn't have put it up. Second of all,
John, yes, you would have. First of all, you did put it up because you don't read these like a fucking moron.
I think the name is what John's worried about. He's like, "That's not gonna get our information," but your wife is hot.
But here's the thing: is like John puts every super chat up without reading them, so he never thinks like, "Oh, this is a name I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't publish it." You know.
Got on my side. Now you're gonna.
Oops, sorry.
No, I was just, it's listen to John's reaction here. Go back just a little bit because you hear John get real mad at a subject he introduced.
Correct. This is all his fault.
The only reason anyone would ask Richard that, like, "Hey, your wife's hot. I want to fuck her. Would you mind?" is because John presented that idea. John was like, "I can ask my buddies if I can fuck their wife. That's totally normal behavior."
Yeah, it's her maiden name is that. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you that if you and me were face to face, you would never say anything like that to my fucking face because I'd stomp your fucking ass.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry, Army Major. If I would have known, I wouldn't have put it up. Second of all, Vince, you finally got on my good side, and now you're gonna fuck with this guy's wife, you motherfucker. Now you.
How dare you?
That was Vince that did it?
Vince the lawyer, yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's the thing. He is an asshole, but he's just saying something John said weeks earlier.
Right.
So it's like at the end of the day, now, again, Vince put the name in there, which is wrong, but John's such a fucking oaf that he doesn't think not to do that. But the anger, how dare you say that he has a voluptuous wife who you'd like to titty fuck? Only I can do that. And then it's a compliment.
Fucking asshole. Sorry, Army Major.
That's all good.
The Army Major.
JG Prince.
But you hear how angry John gets. And what's amazing is John's just lack of self-awareness and also him saying like, "Vince, you finally got on my good side." Finally, what, since Tuesday? Like, I haven't been following it as closely the last couple of weeks, but Vince is always on his good side. And then he's not, and then he is again, and then he isn't, and then he is.
Well, I got to play this again. Apparently, I didn't even notice. Apparently, the other guy on here did a bump of cocaine in the middle of this rant.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know what it is. It could be any substance.
If you would do Kelly and Ismer. Who is that?
And let me tell you something, Jenny. Let me tell you something.
I don't even know who that is.
You're a cowardly motherfucker. That's my wife.
He did.
That's your wife?
Hey, he just has the sniffles. I'm sure.
Her maiden name is that. Let me tell you something.
He's doing cocaine while Jetta's going nuts.
I don't think so. I think that's political commentator Brian Karam, and he would never do something like that.
Right. Allegedly.
Yeah, who knows? He's sick. It's that time of year, you know, weather's changing, whatnot.
That's very funny.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be nice to end there today. A little vintage Jetta where he's threatening to whoop some ass, but John's reaction is just funny to me.
Yes, I like that.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here? I think we covered it all. No,
I think we covered it all. This is the longest episode we've done in a while.
Maybe the longest ever, over 3 hours.
That's right.
Hope everyone enjoyed it. And make sure you go to blindmike.net if you did enjoy it, because all of our links are there. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, which you're most likely listening on, or if you're one of those people that use YouTube, I guess you could find the podcast there too. We foolishly upload it there, even though no one really uses it.
No one.
But if you would be so kind as to like, subscribe, make us the biggest podcast on YouTube. You know,
That's right.
It's a hollow victory, but it'd be nice.
Spread the word.
Look at it that way, Tom. Imagine you're the biggest podcast on YouTube. You think no one's watching you? Such an insane statement. Blindmike.net. Get our links. Check out the Bo Burnham Why You Laughing? Because who knows if YouTube will allow it up or what's going to happen. But we will see. If you're a Patreon or YouTube member, you get early access to content. And if you become a Patreon member, you get all the stuff. They don't censor stuff the same way YouTube does. So consider that. Blindmike.net. All our links are there. We appreciate it. Get us to 1,000 subs on Patreon. And go to verygoodshow.org. That's where Craig does all his stuff. Or do you? I never know.
I do. Tonight, 8 o'clock, we'll be doing VGS Live for anyone that's a patron.
Are you going against Gearbox?
No, I meant tonight, like Monday.
Oh, all right. Tomorrow night.
Right.
Well, that reminds me, though. Go watch Gearbox. I'm sure Hackride will have a lot to say about me. I'm sure he'll be very angry at me.
tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern with Jake Hudson.
Yeah, which will kind of prove my point that people are allowed to criticize me, and I don't always have to react to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they hate you, you know?
That's right.
So yeah, go watch Gearbox, get Hack Ride's thoughts on all the goings on today. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say. So make sure you watch that at 9. And while we do joke with Hack Ride, the man got demonetized on YouTube, so make sure you go check out his Patreon as well. Support the man because he's out there fighting the good fight in the world of content.
That's
so
right.
subscribe to Hack Ride wherever you can get him. Support the man. We appreciate it. You know, you support these guys. A rising tide lifts all ships. So support Hack Ride, support Craig, support this show. DJ Electra, our new moderator.
Yep, she's doing a great job. She put the VGS link in the chat, which I haven't seen.
She posted links?
Yeah, she's been posting
My
links
God.
this whole time.
Wow. Very good, DJ Electra. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Here's the outro that I'm sure is not updated yet.
It's not.
All right, I figured. Bye-bye.
And we have a mean transition.
Sappers clear.